Welcome to another edition of the RF Video Shoot Interview Series. Today we're joined by none other than Tammy, who formerly was Sunny of the WWE. What have you been up to? It's been 4 years in the making, I guess, since the last time.
I guess so.
Last time was Missy's
Where's
apartment.
Missy?
No, who knows and who cares?
She's upstairs.
Did I say that?
Exactly. I guess the last time we spoke, you were just getting started with Wrestling Vixens. What happened with that?
Big mistake. Huge mistake. You know, at the time it seemed like a good idea.
Right.
At the time it seemed like a nice way to make a couple of quick paychecks. And it was at first, don't get me wrong. See, it all started back when I was, I guess, 23. I was the first one to be offered Playboy.
Right.
Vince McMahon called me and said, "You need to come in, we have to have a talk." And I'm thinking, okay, I only have 2 days off the road, can we talk over the phone? He goes, "No, I need to see you in person." So I'm thinking right away, I'm getting fired, right? So I go in there and I dress all in business clothes and I'm all nervous. And he sits me down, he goes, "Well, we've had a few phone calls." I'm like, what did I do?
Huh.
Who did I piss off? He goes, "No, Playboy called us." I was like, okay. He told me what their offer was, and it took me 5 minutes to say no just because I couldn't do it. First of all, my father would roll over in his grave because he just passed away a couple years before that. And I wasn't ready. I was too young, just not mentally ready. So I said no. So when the whole Vixens thing came up, I figured, you know, right, I'm 27, 28 now. What the hell? You know what I mean? What, you know, it's like, it seemed like the logical next step because I did everything else in this business. So, I did a couple photo shoots. Of course, they're trying to get me to do more than I was comfortable with, and I wouldn't do more than I was comfortable with. If anything, I was the prude on all the tapes. You have girls doing things with vegetables and fruit, and here I am, like, covering stuff, you know, just, I did as much as I could, and I couldn't do any more. Well, the guy who was, like, running the show, this turned out to be the biggest thief on the face of the earth. He wouldn't send checks when they were supposed to come. He said that the reason that he couldn't send a check is Missy had a ATM card to the bank account for the website, and she was macking out all the money, and there was no money to write checks. Missy was saying I was using the money. It was he said, she said the whole time. Finally, I said, you know what? I'm done. Not doing any more photo shoots. Send me some money, and we'll keep doing it. If not, forget about it. The guy goes, okay, I'll send you some money. I have your plane ticket booked for the next photo shoot. Like, all right. Get my plane tickets. Don't get any money. So of course I didn't go. So he gets all pissed off at me, you know, you didn't show up, I was waiting at the airport. I'm like, well, you didn't send money. I mean, when you work, you get money. You know, it goes hand in hand. I said, what do you want me to do? He goes, well, I was going to send you a check next month. And basically I said, all right, I'm done. I'm out of here. I said, I want you to stop using me on the website. I want you to stop using everything because I haven't gotten paid in a while. I said, just be done with it. Of course, they still use me here and there, and I don't see a dime. So they're thieves.
Right.
And I hold Missy at fault for a lot of it. I really do.
I was going to ask you, what are your thoughts on Missy? Because the last time I actually seen you with Missy was at that convention in, where were we? Charlotte or something?
Right. Well,
which was hilarious.
I'll tell you the exact. Yeah. Why should I hold this back? I'll tell you the exact thing that made me break ties with Missy a few years ago. Oh, see, we were close. We were like sisters at one point. She had an apartment in New York, and I was living in Jersey, but I was spending every single weekend up in New York with her, in her apartment. I had a key to the place, everything. So I'd spend Friday, Saturday, Sunday in New York, and then the rest of the week at home. Chris didn't care. He was like, all right, go have fun. You have a friend. It was a little apartment, and I'm asleep on the futon, and about 4 o'clock in the morning, I wake up, and there's Missy and some girl I've never seen before smoking crack. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I've never done crack, never smoked pot, never done coke, never done heroin. I'm not a street drug user. Yeah, I've taken some pills, prescription stuff. Maybe I overdid it. But the recreational stuff I've never even tried. So I see somebody smoking crack, and I'm freaking out. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So in my pajamas, I grabbed my bag, got in my car, and drove home at 5 o'clock in the morning. She's saying she never does it. It was a one-time thing. I'm like, okay, but you don't do it right over my head while I'm asleep. That's disrespectful to me. Because who knows how long they were doing it, and I was breathing that shit in. I was pissed off. I mean, I've never even been around that stuff, ever. She got all defensive. I'm like, well, if that's what you're into now, I don't want any part of it. She's swearing at me that she's not into it, and so I'm thinking, okay, should I believe her, or should I think of myself and say, okay, well, if people are knowing that Missy Hyatt's smoking crack and Tammy's friends with her, 1 + 1 makes what? Tammy smoking crack with Missy. So that was it. I didn't talk to her I didn't even speak to her on the phone for like 2 years after that.
Wow.
I just completely cut ties, like clean. I had to.
Right.
I mean, I was already being called a crack addict on internet websites when I didn't do crack. What's happening if I'm hanging out with crack addicts? So not saying she's a crack addict, but I didn't want to be put in that position. I didn't want to have to defend myself for her.
Right.
So I stopped talking to her altogether.
Looking back on it now, do you regret doing Wrestling Vixens totally? I mean, if you were paid on time and stuff like that, and it was a good business deal.
If I was getting still paid on time and everything was fine, no, I wouldn't have regretted it.
Okay.
The fact that they made a lot more money off of me than I made off myself, yeah, that's what I regret. I don't regret things I did on the website or on the DVDs because I did things that were more tame than Playboy.
Right.
I did. Even when it was a multi-girl photo shoot, they're doing all this stuff, and I'm just standing there covering myself, trying to, hide myself best I can. Other than that, like I said, if I was getting paid and I was getting the money I was supposed to get, no, I wouldn't regret it at all. I wouldn't, because I'm not. I've never been ashamed of anything I've done ever.
Chris talked about in his last interview that we did with him about both of your recovery. What was it that turned you guys, the corner for you during that time, and what made you and he commit to the recovery?
What made us stop everything?
Yeah.
I don't even know what it was. One day we just kind of woke up and said, you know what, this is getting old. We had our fun. We're getting old. This is getting old. We try something else for a change. Try not drinking. Try no pills, things like that. And it really wasn't hard. Just one day we just woke up and said, all right, done. And especially when in our minds we were committed to ourselves, well, especially him. I mean, I kind of was wanting my out from the business because I was getting so frustrated with the business. This is right after like the Puerto Rico time. And but him, of course, he'd never be out of the business. So he was so focused. Okay, I'm gonna go back, I'm getting my job back. I'm gonna make $1 million. That was his thing. That meant more to him than popping a few pills and drinking.
Right.
That the business meant everything in the world to him, more than anything.
Right.
More than me. So that's what really kicked our asses back in gear.
You talked a little bit about Puerto Rico. What was your memories of working that territory? There's a lot of people. I remember when you guys went down there. Everyone's like, "Oh no, they're gonna die down there."
I'll tell you, if somebody decides to pay me to take a beautiful 1 week long vacation in Puerto Rico and throw $5,000 spending money on top of it, I still won't go.
Right.
To any workers out there who might get a chance to go and work, don't do it for either company. I don't even know what companies are down there anymore. Especially don't go for Carlos. So we were supposed to go down for Victor Quinones and Savio at first. We talked to them a few times. We've known Quinones for years. We went to Japan with him. They called us and we were like, okay, this might be fun, basically, living on an island, what the hell. And then out of the blue, Sabu calls us and says, heard you might go down there for them. And we're like, yeah, well, we're just kind of talking. Sabu goes, well, can you do me a big personal favor? We said, of course, we're family with him. He's like, well, you know how my uncle was tight with Butcher and Carlos for all those years? He said, well, that Carlos found out that you might go for Quinones. Will you go for them instead? We're like, well, for what kind of money? Basically, they said almost the same kind of money as Quinones was going to give us. Quinones was going to give us $1,000 a week combined. Carlos said $8 a week. And we figured, well, since Sabu's there and he's like closer to us than our own family is, we were like, oh, all right, we'll do Sabu. Sabu does us favors, we'll do him the favor. He asked us to do him a personal favor. I wanted to shoot Sabu because he doesn't realize he goes down for a weekend and he gets his money. We went down. We were originally given a time frame of being down there for 2 years. We were like, cool. We'll live on an island for 2 years, making $800 a week. Most of everything's paid for. We're good to go. We get there. The buildings are decrepit. A lot of them are outside. No running water. You get hit in the head with 9-volt batteries as you're walking out of the locker room. People go up to the concession stands, buy a cup of soda, drink it, fill it with pee, pour it on your head as you walk in the locker room, whether you're a heel or babyface, doesn't matter. I had welts on my head from 9-volt batteries night after night.
Oh wow, people actually.
The first 3 weeks, because they were paying for our hotel every night, giving us $800 a week. The first 3 weeks, we got our money, no problem. And they were like, well, what are you going to do? Would you like to stay for the 2 year period? We were like, yeah, we actually kind of like it here, The
right.
money's decent, our hotel's paid for. Like, well, we can't keep paying for your hotel, so do you want to look for an apartment? We found this beautiful apartment, 1-bedroom furnished, right on the beach in Puerto Rico.
Isla Verde?
Yeah, Isla Verde. Well, the address was Carolina, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
Isla
gorgeous
Verde.
apartment. The furniture inside, it looked like it should cost $5,000 a month. It was $1,000. Our bedroom window was right on the beach. Beautiful. 4th floor up. We had an elevator. We couldn't get into the building. It was totally secure. So we're like, okay, we found this place. Great. Soon as we rented the apartment, signed the lease, guess what? It went from $800 a week to $750 a week to $7 a week to $6 a week. Eventually, about 5 months down the road, we might be lucky to get $150 a week.
Oh.
Two people cannot live on $150 a week
Right.
in Puerto Rico or anywhere else.
Who was paying you off, Javika?
No, he was the one that wasn't paying us.
Okay.
He would pay us $0. Okay, we'd go to the office each Monday, and we'd go in to get paid, because Monday was payday, and you'd sit there from 8 in the morning till 5 at night, and Joe Vica would come out, sorry guys, maybe next week, and he would leave. And all the Puerto Rican guys would be like, okay. Like here's, Pablo and all these other Puerto Rican guys that didn't even speak English. They're like, okay, we'll be back next week.
Huh.
And I was like, motherfucker. Because if you know me, I don't kind of shy away from anybody.
Right.
So I would walk up to Carlos and say, motherfucker, what the hell's going on?
Right.
You bring us down here, you want us to stay for 2 years, we just rented an apartment for $1,000 a month, and we're not getting paid this week, or next week, or last week, or... I said, this is ridiculous. So Carlos would go in his pocket and slip me $150.
Right.
I guess because he was trying to be one of the boys and not office, where Joe Vico was the total douchebag.
Right.
Horrible. We used so much money from home, from savings, just to live. Finally, we were coming up in the 6th month, and I said, hon, we're going home. This is ridiculous. So I'm not spending any more money from home to live in this godforsaken fucking island.
Right.
It's dirty, it's poverty-stricken, it's crime-ridden, it's drug-laden. For example, we had to take a bus. We didn't have a car down there. We had to take a bus from our apartment into Santurce to go to the office to get paid every Monday. You get off the bus, you walk 8 blocks up to go to the office. It's this nice industrial, business street. And it's a nice, pretty tree-lined street, all these trees along the street. Well, there's dirty syringes stuck in all the trees as you're walking by. Right across the street from the dirty syringes and the trees is this Catholic grade school. And all the kids running around.
Right.
It is disgusting.
Right.
One time we were walking home from the office, we figured, let's not take the bus, let's walk along the beach. Because it was only like a couple miles, it was no big deal, it was a beautiful day. So we're walking past, here's the projects, the worst projects on the island on our right.
It's in between Carolina and the office.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the worst projects with the barbed wire on the gates and all these, monkeys looking out like, ooh, look, there's white people. Sorry, I was a little racist. And on our left is this really disgusting little grocery store. So we're walking by, and here comes this huge black woman. Of course, she's gigantic, wearing skin-tight leopard pants, walking with these grocery bags. She's walking towards us as we're walking this way. Finally, right where we're about here, she sits down on the curb facing us, reaches into this, 2-foot-high tall grass behind us, pulls out a tourniquet and needle and starts shooting up. Right there.
Right.
Right in the middle of the street. I was like, we're going home. We're getting out of here. I started running down the street. I'm like, this is crazy. And the Puerto Rican people down there, people that are here, okay, I'm really not a racist person. Puerto Rican people that are here are very nice and cordial. Down there, those motherfuckers will stab you if you look at them the wrong way. They will. So if I didn't even want to look at this woman because I'd get, a needle in the leg.
Right.
Who knows what the hell she had. So basically, 6-month mark came, we went to the office and said, thanks for the opportunity, guys. It's been great. We're going home.
I was called Gringo 500 times walking down that street.
Oh my God.
That's all
And
you
then,
were. Gringo.
once we tell them we want to go home, then they couldn't buy us a plane ticket.
Yeah, they hold you down there.
Right.
They said, there's no money to buy a ticket, no money to buy a ticket. We're like, then book us. Well, no, because we already wrote you out at storylines. And we're like, all right, hold on a minute. We're like, we don't give a fuck how you want to get us a ticket. You get us a fucking ticket.
Right.
Eventually, Carlos had to use his daughter Stacy's credit card. Stacy's like 22 years old. Had to use her credit card to buy us a plane ticket home. That's how broke they are.
Wow.
They have nothing.
Now,
Nothing.
I heard Carlos has a big gambling problem too.
Yeah, that's how he lost all his money and his
lost all
house
his
and
money.
everything like that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Wow.
There was one time, because I have a bit of a temper, and if somebody fucks me over, just watch out. There was a couple weeks in a row. I would have gotten arrested down there if they knew this, but I don't care now. A couple weeks in a row, nobody was getting paid.
Right.
So I stole the ring truck. Well, we had 2 trucks. We had a ring truck and a truck with all TV equipment.
Right.
I saw the keys sitting there, and once I got in the baseball park when nobody was looking, it was in the middle of the baseball park, and everybody was gone. I drove it away. I stole it, parked it around the corner, and went home with the keys, threw the keys in the ocean.
Nice. Nice.
And here's a couple of the Americans like, what did you just do? I'm like, those fuckers, they fuck with me, I fuck with them back.
Right.
So we went for like a month with no TV tapings, because here's the truck parked at this one baseball field when it had to go all over the island. They had no other keys, and I threw the keys in the ocean. Fuck with me, I'll get back.
That's awesome. That's a good story.
That was actually funny. And then they would always have beer at the concession stand. They had the worst concessions. They would sell empanadillas, which are these little pastry things with either really disgusting meat or really disgusting cheese in them.
Right.
And then beer. And then soda.
Like
These tiny little
pizza
cans of beer.
things, we
Yeah.
had 'em.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
They're horrible.
I love them.
So, a couple times though, they'd load up the ring, and then they'd be putting the big barrels of the beer back in the,
Yeah.
in
Right.
the back of the ring truck, because they take it from place to place. It's not the concession at the arenas; it's their own concession. So a couple times, as they're putting the beer barrels back up there, and I know nobody got paid, climbed up into the truck and started just chucking beers at all the workers, like 40 beers at a time, and they were like, "No, don't take the beer." I'm like, "Fuck you!"
Right.
Fuck us over, I'll fuck you back.
Victor ever want to bring you in since?
Who, Quinones?
Yeah, because he told me he would see you guys all because he lived right there. He would talk to you guys.
Well,
once
what
in a
happened?
while.
Well, because the funny thing was, Victor knew that the pay was so bad. He took me, Chris, this guy, what the hell was his name? Marcus Falk, and believe it or not, Eddie Colon,
Right.
Carlos's own son, out to dinner 3 nights a week.
Wow.
Because Eddie wasn't getting any money either.
Right.
So the four of us would go out to eat with the boss of the other company. So
Yeah,
here's
Victor
Eddie
says he talks to the kids, even
Yeah.
though there's this big war going
So
on.
here's, Eddie Cologne, the son of the owner, going out to dinner with the son of the opposition. I mean, with
Right.
the owner of the opposition.
Right.
I mean, but you starved otherwise.
Right.
I mean, and like I said, I'd rather have Victor Canones buy me dinner than me keep macking out money out of my savings account.
Oh, of course.
It was ridiculous.
Did you know Carlito at all down there?
Carly, yeah, we worked a program with him.
How was that?
He was a good worker. Eddie's a better worker. Ed, I don't know if you've ever seen him work.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Eddie's a much better worker. He's got more fire, more passion as a
Than
baby face
Carly.
than Carly did.
Right.
They're both sweethearts, really nice kids. Like I feel bad for them that they had to grow up with that and deal with that all their lives. Really nice guy. I haven't seen Carly since he left. Chris saw him when he went to a couple of Raws, but he, of course he already had the hair.
Right.
And down in Puerto Rico, he was like the best looking guy too. I was like, oh, he's a hottie. And then I see him with the hair. I'm like, what the hell happening? But as far as the two boys go, Eddie's a much better worker. Like one day, if he doesn't get a job, it'll be a sin.
I heard Carly was the one his father made get into business. And
Yeah,
he
he
would
didn't
always
like
go
it.
to Florida and live in Miami and want to
Uh-huh.
go clubbing. And Eddie was the one who was the true
Yep.
student in the game.
Yep, Carly doesn't care about the business one bit. He
Yeah.
never did. He used to tell us that he goes, I really don't even like this stuff. I'm just doing it because my dad makes me do it.
Right.
Right.
And Eddie's the one with the passion for it.
Right.
So basically, Eddie gets the raw deal. He's got the passion for it. Carly doesn't give a shit, and he gets a push.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he goes back down to Puerto Rico. He'll be the biggest babyface ever.
Well,
Yes, he
I
does.
think he went back down there a few times already, but I don't
Yeah.
know what happened. I
Yeah.
really don't
They
even follow what they do.
feud against each other now.
Oh, they do?
Eddie versus Carly.
As far as like the drug scene in Puerto Rico, how crazy was that? I mean, because it's pretty much you could get anything down there.
Well, see, the thing is, you can get anything down there, but Puerto Rico is really what started cleaning us up because you couldn't afford it.
Right.
Honest to God, you could not afford it. So you can go walk into any pharmacy and buy Somas just over the counter for 35 cents a piece. But okay, you want to say, do I want 5 Somas or do I want a Burger King hamburger? It's one or the other.
Right.
Because there's no money. So yeah, it's easy to get, but you can't get it because you can't afford it.
Right.
And like I said, I'm not spending my money from home to live down there. So we chose Burger King over the pills. Basically, honest to God.
So when you guys got back up to the state, well, that was part of the states, but when you came back home to the East Coast, where did you guys go from there?
Well, we didn't really want to come right home to Jersey because it was, in the middle of winter. We're like, oh, let's do something different. And we were friends with Hack Myers from ECW, and we saw him down in Puerto Rico. He was working for Canones.
Right.
And he'd just gotten fired and went home, so we were talking to him. He's like, well, I live in Daytona. If you guys want to come stay here to see if you like it in Florida, and then you can get a place. So we were like, all right. So we went down. We went to Hack Myers. It's actually his parents' house, which we didn't know.
Right.
So we're staying there. His parents weren't there most of the time. They were up in Maryland. Oh, excuse me.
That's
Some
okay.
water. I'm burping.
It's cool.
So we went to Daytona. We were there over Christmas. We were there for a total of like 2.5 months, I guess. But as soon as we got there, well, within like 2 weeks after we got there, Hack Myers, who was this nice guy in Puerto Rico, is starting to treat me like I'm his housewife. He was like, he'd wake up in the morning, why isn't these floors mopped? And why are the dishes in the sink? And was like, who am I married to here?
Right.
You were Chris. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. So finally it was right after New Year's, and there was, I think, right before New Year's or right after New Year's, and there was a Frank Goodman show booked that we were flying home for, and we just didn't come back.
Right.
We got, we packed our bags to go home for the show, and never got on the plane to come back to Florida. And Hack called us up because where are you guys? We're like, we're not coming back down there. Thanks for the free room for all. It wasn't even free. Thanks
Right.
for the room. Another thing we do. Hack wouldn't spend a dime on food, and I went grocery shopping every day because I love to cook. I'd come home, cook. Chris and I would eat, and then Hack would just scarf it all down, eat all the leftovers. But he didn't pay for a single thing of food.
Right.
So everything we were making in Florida was going to feed 3 people. It was such a waste of time. It wasn't worth it.
You guys worked for MLW too when you were down there for a brief stint. Maybe you guys went with a ring crew or something.
When you say letters, I don't know who they are. Who's
Court Bauer.
Oh yeah.
What happened with that whole deal?
Waste of time. See, the problem with indies in Florida, there's no money.
Right.
There is no money. We had a lot of work. You had work almost every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but they're like, they want to give you $50, and it's like, wait a minute. We've
Right.
never worked for $50. So it's either you take the $50 that they want to give you, or you don't work.
Right.
And that's all the work is down there. That's it. Court Barrow is a little bit better, but I mean those shows fizzled out. I don't even know if they still run anything.
No, he's working with WWE now. So.
Oh, okay. There you go.
What happened the night at the hotel with MLW when Chris was naked in the hotel and stuff like that? And
I don't even
crazy
remember.
stories.
I don't even remember. All I know is we were pretty drunk. We got in an argument, and he started running around the halls naked. I mean, it was just, that's really all I remember. I mean, I hear different stories from different people. I'm like, I really don't remember what happened.
Right.
I honestly don't.
Okay. Now, Chris got into TNA eventually. Were your plans to follow Chris and join him in TNA?
You know what? Not at the time. Puerto Rico really soured me on the business. That's the thing that really said to me, you know what, I want out. I don't want anything to do with this thing anymore. It really put such a bad taste in my mouth that I was like, I want to retire. Get a real job. Do something normal with my life, you know?
Right.
So he went down there, and I was thrilled to death for him. You know, I watched every week. I still enjoy watching. I think they're much better than Vince's shows. But no, I really had no desire to go down. Then we worked on right before Chris went, we worked on an indie show in New York with Dusty Rhodes. It was the first time I ever met Dusty. Of course, the three of us clicked. I had to work an angle with Dusty at the end of the match. I had to do the kiss spot with him whatsoever. He was like, oh my God, Tammy, baby, it was so nice to work with you finally. I've heard so many great things about you. They were all correct. He was like praising my work.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I mean, I don't care what anybody says, no matter how drunk I ever was, my work has always been right on. I mean, that's just, I'm sorry, but there's nobody freaking better. There's no girls better. So Dusty was oh my God, this is great. That's when he brought Chris down. He goes, I want you to come down too. He goes, you want to come back to the business? I'm like, Dusty, you know what? It's got to be a really good thing for me to go back. I said, and I'm not, my heart's not into it right now. It's really not. I was taking maybe one indie show a month because I just didn't even want to do it. I didn't want to be around it. I didn't even go to shows to watch Chris's matches. I didn't even go with him to indies. I sat home. So that's how soured I was on the business after Puerto Rico.
And you were back in Jersey now at this point? After Florida and stuff like that? You basically started doing something with the tanning salon too, right? I think you were telling me.
Oh, I was just started out managing a friend's tanning salon. Then I bought into it, so I was a co-owner for a little bit. Then I realized that he wasn't a friend and he was a total douchebag, so I sold out and I got out of there.
All right.
I was only involved for like 8 months.
Okay. Your weight gain over the last couple of years has been a topic among a lot of wrestling fans who could be really cruel at times. I guess what do you attribute your gaining weight to?
Well, see, nobody really knows what I've gone through in the past couple of years as far as health problems.
Right.
Back in 2001, this is when it all started. 2001, I came down with pancreatitis. I don't know if you know what pancreatitis is. It's caused by excessive drinking. Okay, the alcohol, too much alcohol, not enough food hits your system. See, when you eat anything or drink anything, it goes down your esophagus. It goes through your pancreas before it goes through your stomach, and your pancreas acts like a filter. The pancreas is really only like this big. It gets so filled up with all those toxins and that alcohol that it just starts malfunctioning. It starts swelling. My pancreas was this big. Okay, he was in Japan. I was home. We were living down by Atlantic City. And I was in pain for 5 days. It felt like I had appendicitis. My whole midsection was on fire. I didn't know what was wrong with me.
My friend and I said it's the worst
I was
feeling
crapping.
pain ever.
I was puking. I was feverish. I couldn't eat.
Right.
I couldn't sleep, nothing. 5 days of laying there like that, feeling like I'm going to die. I called 911. I said, something's wrong with me. Come get me. Go to the hospital. They said, well, we need to call some people. I said, well, what's going on? He goes, well, you have 48 hours to live. I said, excuse me? I have 48 hours to live? They're like, yeah, we need to find your husband. I said, he's in Japan, and I don't even know where to find him. I said, they go from a different town every day. I said, I really don't know. Like, well, we need to call your mom. And I'm like, I was in so much pain, I couldn't even think of my mother's phone number. And so somehow, basically, they knocked me out. They sedated me because they said, you have 48 hours to live, so when you die, we don't want you to feel it. So they knocked me out.
Right.
Somehow they found Chris. They tracked him down in Japan. I don't even know how. He flew home on the next plane back, of course, because they said, hey, come home. Your wife's going to die in 2 days. So, of course, everybody in the world, I don't even remember who was at the hospital because I was sedated. They said everybody in the world that I've ever known came to see me for the last time.
Right.
They read me my last rites twice. See, nobody knows this shit. It was scary. They read me my last rites twice, said I was going to die. My pancreas was too far past the point of fixing. Okay, all right, but they had me on, I was on a respirator, I had IVs in my groin, I was sedated, everything. About, I'd say, a week and a half after I was admitted, I'm still in ICU. I wake up and Chris is sleeping in the hospital every single night. And then I'm like, honey, I said, just why don't you go home and get some rest in our own bed because you don't sleep here all night long. It's been a week and a half from you not sleeping. He was like, are you sure you're going to be okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. You know, I was really doped up from all the stuff they were giving me. So he goes home. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I go to bed. 6 o'clock in the morning, I wake up. I sit up in bed. I'm looking around. Where's Chris? I don't remember that he went home. So I'm buzzing the nurse. Oh, I'm buzzing the nurse. Nurse comes in. What's the matter? I'm like, nothing. Do you see where my husband went? And she's like, no. Hang on a minute. I'll be right back. So I'm buzzing the nurse some more. She comes back. She goes, what? What's the matter? I said, nothing. Can you hook up my phone so I can call him and find out where he went? She's like, hook up your phone. I'm like, yeah, why? What's the problem? I said, while you're at it, hook up my TV because there's nothing going on here. She goes, I'll be right back. She comes back with my 13 doctors.
Right.
I had 13 doctors. I had cardiologists. I had neurologists, everything, just waiting for me to die. They're all looking at charts. They're looking at me, looking at charts, looking at me. They're like, this isn't the same person that was here yesterday. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I said, oh, by the way, before anybody leaves, I'm really hungry. Can I have some Jell-O? They were like, what the fuck is she talking about? She was on her deathbed yesterday, and now she wants her phone, TV hooked up, and she wants Jell-O, and she's sitting up looking for her husband and speaking, and I was fine.
Right.
So they ran a whole bunch of tests. All of a sudden, my pancreas, that was this big the day before, is now back this big, out of nowhere.
Huh.
I called Chris. I said, honey, where'd you go? He goes, who is this? I said, it's me. Where'd you go? He's like, who is this? I said, it's me. He goes, don't fucking move. All right, I won't move. Comes rushing to the hospital. I only live like 3 minutes away. He goes, what's the matter? I'm like, nothing. I'm sitting there eating my Jell-O, watching TV, and flipping channels. He goes, where are the doctors? He brings all the doctors back in, and they're like, sir, we don't know. We have no idea. Yesterday, she was dead. She already had her last read to her twice, you know. And also from all the IVs, like, I was really, like, bloated, like, beyond belief swollen.
Right.
I was back down to normal. They ran a bunch of tests. They have no idea what happened, but overnight, I just healed. Just healed. And I was feeling fine. I was having Chris sneak me in Happy Meals from McDonald's because I didn't eat for a week and a half. They just had me on IV fluids. He was sneaking me in, like, you know, hamburgers from McDonald's and everything, and I'm, you know, eating hospital food, and I'm talking to the nurses. I'm walking around. And they're like, what the hell happened? Nobody knows how over one night I went from death to fine. I still don't know.
Wow. That's a miracle.
So they kept me for another week and sent me home. So.
Wow.
But see, the whole thing was the pancreatitis. So I was a pre-med student years ago, so I know a lot about biological systems. Your pancreatitis helps you control your insulin production. Insulin production helps control your weight. Pancreatitis fucks on my insulin, you gain weight.
Right.
So there's nothing I did wrong.
Right.
I didn't stop training. I still train like a beast. I didn't stop dieting. I still diet like just eating my chicken and egg whites and bullshit like that. But your pancreas fucks up your insulin, fucks up your weight. Then I developed a thyroid problem on top because of all the gas I used to do.
Right.
I mean, because when I was in ECW, I mean, remember what I looked like then?
Oh, yeah.
I was ripped and shredded at like 4% body fat. All the stuff I used to do fucked up my thyroid.
Wow.
So I just started getting the thyroid medication, so hopefully that'll regulate.
Right.
And that'll also regulate the insulin levels and things like that. And then, you know, I've already lost 15 pounds, so.
That's good. How much does it hurt you, I guess, when you know, read or hear fans take shots at you?
You know what? At first it did. But then I was like, well, they don't fucking understand why. They don't know I almost died from pancreatitis. They don't know my insulin levels are fucked up. They don't know I have an underactive thyroid. They don't know. You know, so I'm like, I'm not going to let them get to me anymore. If they want to say something, fine. Do you think I ever gave a shit what anybody thought about me? Never.
Good.
Never in my life have I given two shits about what people think about me.
Speaking of that, that leads into my next question, I guess. Have you ever thought about speaking to, like, younger girls about such a thing, being that you are, like, someone who seems very happy with who you are, whereas, like, weight can be such a cruel issue to some younger girls?
Well, I wouldn't really have a venue to do that, but if there was, yeah, maybe I would. I mean, a few years ago, I was doing like a little column on a website that somebody was making for me, and I did a couple of things like that. I just wrote some stuff, like, I would, like, experience something, just write about it and say,
Right.
look, life isn't that bad, you know, get over it, kind of thing.
Right.
But, you know, I wouldn't even have a venue to do that in. But, I mean, if I did, yeah, I mean, I would help.
Like a Dear Abby.
Yeah, right?
Dear Tammy. What happened between you and Loki at USA Pro?
That's so blown out of proportion. Well, I threatened to kick his ass, but I had to. I was defending myself. I barely even knew the kid, just saying hello, and I don't know if anybody really knows him, but he's a very standoffish kind of guy. I was rushing to get ready for the match, and walked over by my makeup, and he's sitting in my chair right in front of my makeup, going over his match with Crowbar or whoever. I think it was Crowbar. And, I mean, I'm a very happy, just, hey, everybody kind of person. So just goofing around with him because I had my hairbrush in my hand when I was walking back. I just, like, tapped him with the hair. It was a light tap with my hairbrush. I'm like, hey, you do makeup too. That's all I said. I went, hey, because here's my makeup right in front of him.
Right.
He went, I don't fucking care who you think you are. You show respect to Loki. I went, I show respect for Loki? I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on one second. You've been working, what, a month and a half? I've been in this business for 13 years now, and I got to show you respect? So first of all, you're sitting in front of my makeup. I made a joke, hey, you doing makeup too? I tapped you lightly with my hairbrush, so you're lucky I didn't fucking hit you. I knocked your head off. So he's all bowed up, I'll kick your ass. I'm like, you want to kick my ass? Take one shot. There's 4 people in this locker room that will kill you if you touch me.
Right.
Meaning Balls, Bam Bam, Chris. You know, anybody, if anybody would have touched me, Bam Bam would have just been killing him. So would Balls. Balls will jump in front of a train for me. He's always been like that with me. So it was kind of funny because when somebody snaps at me like that, I snap back even harder. So here's one person holding him back, and there's 4 grown men holding me back because I'm like, how would he kill you? It was funny. The 4 people holding me back because I was just like, so I calmed down. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? What is he on? He's a fucking psycho, you know. And he doesn't even he didn't say you should show respect to me. You should show respect to Loki. I was like, what the fuck is that? I should say I'm Sunny. Show Sunny respect. Sunny, fuck you. So a couple months later, I saw him. I was like, dude, it's like, what was up with you? He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, now you don't know what I'm talking about. You threatened to beat up a girl, and now you don't know what I'm talking about. So I said, listen, I said, I don't care what happened. I said, I respect your work. You know, I said, I think things got blown out of proportion. I'd like it to be over. So
Right.
he was like, oh, okay, it'll be over. So, and that was the end of that. So now we're fine. When we see each other, we're fine.
Cool.
We say hello. I mean, we don't sit there and have wonderful conversations. But after that, it was funny, because after that, then a few months later, Loki was going up to Chris, can you watch my match for me? And Chris is like, okay, but why? You know
Right.
what I mean? Because all of a sudden he's threatening to kill, you know, me, and then he wants Chris to watch his match. I think that was his way of saying he's sorry.
Smoothing it over, kind of.
You know, he's not
He'll
gonna,
never say sorry.
He'll never say sorry, but by saying to Chris, could you watch my match for me in a very respectful manner? I think that was his way of saying, sorry, I fucked up, kind of thing.
Right.
But it's fine. I mean, every time I see him now, we always say hello, we make a little small talk and move on.
Are you surprised at, I guess, the lack of respect to veterans on indie shows today?
It's sickening. Are you kidding me? I've already been on shows with some young people that, like, they know who I am, but they'll be like, who's that guy over there? And say it's fucking Dusty.
Right.
I'm like, you gotta be joking.
Right.
I'm like, you shouldn't be here if you don't know who some of these people are.
Right.
That's true.
And I experienced this about, what was it? 6 months ago or so? Maybe 6 months.
Oop.
Boom.
You want to pause it?
No.
All right.
Maybe 6 months ago or so. I was at a show, it was a Jersey All Pro show somewhere up north in North Jersey, and I was refereeing a girls' match. It was, I don't remember who.
Alicia, probably.
Somebody against it was somebody against Jackie Gata. They were bringing in,
Right.
and April Hunter was doing a run-in.
Right.
There's Alicia.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm there, and I'm in the back, and Charlie Haas and Jackie show up, and Charlie comes right up to me and introduces himself to me. Great, very nice to meet you too. Never met. No, I met him at a Pillman show years ago.
Right.
But that was it. And here's Jackie just walking around. I'm like, okay, I'll give her a minute. Maybe she's got to put her bags down, take a pee, whatever. She's still just walking around. An hour goes by. She doesn't come up to me. I'm like, all right, fine. I'll go say hello. Walk up to her. I said, hi, you know, I'm Tammy. It's such a pleasure to meet you finally. She goes, hi, and walked away. I'm like, wait a minute. I waited here an hour for her to come say hi to me. I said, all right, I'll go say hi to her. Maybe she's been busy. I say, hi, I'm Tammy. It's a pleasure to meet you. She goes, hi, and walks away. I'm like, I want to fucking kill her. And April was standing right there, and she saw my eyes. April was like, oh, you want to kill her, don't you? I'm like, you fucking know I do. I'm sorry. Jackie would not have had a job in this business if it wasn't for me. Okay, because I respect Liz for everything she did, Sherry, people like that. But I'm sorry, they wouldn't have this whole diva bullshit if I wasn't there. They didn't know how to use girls until me. I was the first one. So if I never went there and I was never Sunny, then there would be no diva searches. There would be no 18, 20 girls doing photo shoots every other week. There would be nothing like that for girls because they didn't know how to do it. I came along, I broke the mold, basically. So for her to not come up to me and say, oh my God, I can't believe I'm finally meeting you, that was, I was like, I wanted to kill her.
Right.
I still don't like her because of it. I haven't seen her since, but I still don't like her because of it. Screw her, ugly bitch.
We understand that Chris was to be managed by Francine at One Night Stand. Were you going to be a mystery run-in or any part of that show in any way?
I don't even know that Francine was supposed to manage him.
Yeah.
He was booked on the show. We never knew what we're doing until we got there. You know, so that's news to me. I never even heard that. But I was talking to them about doing something, but nothing was ever definite. We didn't know. They were like, yeah, come and we'll figure something out. I said, okay. Because, of course, you know, with Shane's not going to screw me over.
Right.
Oh, wait, Shane's show or Vince's show?
This was for Vince's
Vince.
show.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
that's right. No, I talked to Tommy a couple times, and he was saying the same thing, though. They, you know, wanted to do something but didn't know what. I'm like, all right, let me know. But I didn't really care if I did or not. You know, it would have been nice, but I didn't really care.
Right. I guess, do you prefer to have people remember you for your legacy in ECW or WWE?
So ECW was a lot of fun. I really had a lot of fun there. Good people to work with. Fun on the road, but I would have to say WWE because, I mean, that's where I did everything.
Right.
You know, that's where, you know, I guess my star rose. So, of course, yeah, I'd rather remember that. And most people do. People are like, EC what? There's a lot of mainstream normal people that don't know what ECW is.
Oh, yeah.
But you say Sunny from WWE, you're like, oh my God, we do remember you.
Right, right.
You know, you had a T-shirt, and I know I had 13 T-shirts. Thank you. You know, not a T-shirt.
Right.
You know, 13 T-shirts, beach towel, pillow. The list goes on. But yeah, WWE definitely.
Have you ever gotten any money that was owed to you from Paul Heyman and ECW, or pretty much
Not a pretty penny.
Okay.
Not one thing. And he even alluded to Chris when Chris was going back to Raw's. He was being invited back, and they were meeting with him, and Vince was meeting him about possibly coming back and doing some cruiserweight thing. And Paul went up to him in the hallway and he said to Chris, because Chris called me right up and told me this, and I was shocked. Paul said, "Chris, I'm going to do everything I can to get you back here because I owe you."
Right.
And we knew what he meant, and he knew, because we lost a lot of money because of that man.
With the flights and the credit cards and all that.
Yeah, at the time we had a beautiful house, a $500,000 home in Central Jersey in Colts Neck, that we had to sell because we owed American Express $180,000 for ECW.
Right.
When they went bankrupt, refused to give us any money. We owed that to Amex. We tried to dispute it, and Amex says to me, "Well, you have flights in the same names of people for the past 2 years that you've been paying fine. How do we know that this wasn't yours?"
Right.
And what happened too, when we stopped working there, Debbie Beaumont, who was doing a couple of tickets, somehow she had our credit card number, and she was using our credit card still to make their tickets after we were gone from the company.
Right.
For months, a good 6 months.
That's crazy.
We're getting our Amex bills, and here's all ECW's plane tickets. We're like, we don't even fucking work there anymore.
Right.
And they kept using our Amex bills, so we couldn't dispute it with Amex. They wouldn't even look at us because for 2 years everything was kosher.
Right.
Then all of a sudden,
How'd you get out of that mess?
we had to
Sell the house?
We had to sell the house.
Oh man.
I sold the house. I put $125,000 down on the house, cash, and then our mortgage was $3,600 a month. You know how much I got back after we paid off Amex and everything? I walked away with $30,000. So I put $125 cash down, walked away with 30.
Right.
Not 130, 30.
That sucks.
Because I had to pay Amex $180 so they didn't sue me and put me in jail.
Right.
It's like fraud. I mean, it's grand larceny. It was ridiculous. So yeah, I had to sell the house. Wrote a huge check for $180. Well, I didn't write the check. My real estate lawyer did, to get rid of the Amex bill.
Right. A few years ago, you announced that you're going to retire and you were going to become a flight attendant. Whatever came about with that.
One day when I said I want to retire, somebody said, "Oh, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "I don't know. Maybe I'll be a flight attendant."
Oh, okay.
That was it. It
Right.
was just, I don't know.
It
was like in the Observer.
Maybe I'll fly the friendly skies.
I was reading it in the Observer and everything.
Oh yeah, I was just like,
I was like, what?
I was like, yeah, maybe I'll be a garbage man too. It's just like, it was just like something I said.
Right.
And all of a sudden people were like, "Oh, she's gonna," I'm like, "What?"
Huh.
Oh.
What are your thoughts on Dawn Marie, I guess, suing WWE for being fired after she was pregnant?
Well, yeah, you know what? I love Dawn. We've always been friends. I just spent the weekend at her house right after Chris passed. Very happy for her. She has the baby. She's with someone that she loves. As far as the suing thing goes, I've never sued anybody in my life. And their contract states that if you change your appearance in any way, it's grounds for termination. I'm sorry, but being pregnant, you change your look drastically. Sometimes you can't get it back, If you gain 100 pounds, there's a good chance you're not going to look like you used to look.
Right.
So as far as them letting her go, I think it was done a little bit abruptly. She was only a month pregnant when she told them. I think they should have, I don't know, maybe given her something to do where she didn't have, all she said was, "I'm not wrestling anymore because I'm pregnant." That's all she said. Because I was with her right before she had a meeting with them. And then they fired her. So they could have done something with her to give her something to do where she didn't have to take bumps until she started showing. And then decide, well, maybe we can't use her anymore. But yeah, I think it was a little rough on them, so maybe she feels she has a good, a point to do and a good case to do it. But it's really not for me to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, last year, Chris was, pretty much back on the main scene, TNA, and he was doing really well and stuff like that. And all the indies, he was really working his ass off and stuff. It looked like things were going incredible.
Yeah, of course.
I guess
Some of the best work he's had in years.
Without a doubt. Especially on Goodman shows, and, people usually take it, relax, and he was out there busting his ass, putting on the best match of the shows. I guess when he broke his leg, how did, it affect him?
Oh, God. He called up in hysterics. He was crying like a baby. He was like, "I can't believe this. Everything's just going great. I can't believe this happened to me. He was crying like a baby, just crying his eyes out. Like, what am I going to do now? Oh, my God, what am I going to do? I'm like, "Hon, everything will be okay.
Right.
We'll get it fixed. You go back to work like you always did. And probably better, because you'll be so fired up to get back in there. Your work will probably be even better than it was," which I didn't think it could get better. It was just so at the top right then.
And a lot of people are saying he's probably going to go to WWE eventually, too, from that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I guess how hard was it for him at that time not to use painkillers to like numb the pain and stuff?
For the ankle?
Yeah.
Well, you got to realize, okay, he broke both bones completely, dislocated his ankle in like 18,000 places. Okay, when they went to the hospital and they couldn't do surgery until the following day, yeah, they gave him pills. He had to take them.
Right.
He was in like excruciating pain. Okay, and it's prescribed by a doctor. It wasn't like he got him off the street.
Right.
And it wasn't crazy. It was just Percocets, which really didn't even do anything because the pain in his ankle was so bad. He was like, "Hon, these things aren't doing anything. It hurts just as bad." You know. So I mean, no, if anybody holds him accountable for taking painkillers when his ankle's in a million pieces, he's got to wait in just a splint to get surgery. Fuck you then.
Right.
If you're gonna hold him responsible and say he's a bad guy for doing it, fuck you. You know.
What was Chris's thoughts about TNA at that time when he was there? Did he like it?
He loved it. He loved it, and they just started talking about him being an agent, so he loved that even more.
Right.
Because if he's involved in writing something or booking something or being an agent, something like that, he's in his glory. He actually likes doing that stuff more than working. I don't know. You know what? I don't know. It's kind of right up there. But if he could do both,
right.
He's in his glory.
Right.
You know, couldn't be happier. They were talking about him. They already started giving him some matches to agent. You know, and giving finishes and things like that. He would call me. Guess what? Guess whose match I have now? He was like so happy, so happy. And besides, then he was managing tag team. Then he, you know, who are they? Naturals.
The Naturals, right.
Managing a tag team, working matches, helping book things, helping give finishes. He was in his glory. I haven't seen him that happy in years, really.
I guess what happened in the 24 hours leading up to Chris's passing?
Well, okay. He got this. It happened Sunday night. He got the surgery on Monday. Tuesday, he went to TV taping in a wheelchair, a cast, crutches, the whole thing, in his business clothes, his Ric Flair clothes, as he called them. Worked the TV taping. He broke actually 3 crutches over people, just in the midst of things. We went back to the locker room, and everybody would give him standing ovations. Coming back, and like, holy fuck, we already thought he was great, but now he just had surgery, and he's even better.
Right.
Because he was so fired up. He's like, well, I'm not going to go out there half-assed. I'm going to go out there at 200%, even with the cast, to prove that I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Right.
So, and he would come back from everything he did at the TV tapings, and the whole locker room and the bosses and everything were just like, it's unfucking real.
Right.
And Dusty loved him like crazy before that, but he loved him even more because he showed his heart. He really did.
Right.
But so then that was Tuesday. Wednesday he flew home, picked him up at the airport around noon. Starting to get upset already. Picked him up at the airport about noon and drove him home. And he was in a lot of pain. Painkillers weren't doing anything. Well, first he said, honey, go get my prescription. He gives me a prescription. I said, this is only your painkillers. I said, where's your antibiotic? He's like, what antibiotic? I said, hon, you got cut open. You have metal in your ankle. Two plates and 9 pins and screws. You need an antibiotic. I said, with all the surgery that I've had, you get an antibiotic before you have surgery. You do. It's just a fact. You can have antibiotic when you get cut. He said, this is all they gave me. So I go and get it filled, but then I'm looking through his discharge papers, and all it says is about the pain medicine. It says, take your pain medicine and don't eat after surgery for 6 hours. That's all it said. I said, something ain't right. So I took a nap, and, went to bed. Thursday, he woke up. So much worse pain. His whole leg was starting to swell.
Was he advised not to fly too?
I'll get to that.
All right, okay.
Gets home. Wakes up. So much more pain. His leg's swollen. His foot's swollen. He can't even get out of bed. And he's crying because he's in so much pain. He was breathing fine. He was laying in the bed, but he was breathing like he had congestion or something. It just got worse over the course of the day, and then around 7 o'clock, I said, hon, we're going to the hospital. He's like, no, I spent enough time in the hospital. I'm not going to the hospital. I said, you're not breathing right. You're in too much pain. Something's not right. I call 911. And they come. They said, yeah, it's definitely not right. We think he has pneumonia. So instead of bringing him to a local hospital, we're going to go up to Robert Wood Johnson, a much better hospital. So they took him in the ambulance. I rode in the front of the ambulance. We get there. They do chest x-rays. The doctor's like, yeah, he has pneumonia, and it happens a lot after surgery. They show me his chest x-rays. When you take a chest x-ray, if your lungs are clear, they're black. If
Right.
they're full of fluid, they're white. You saw no black. It was completely white. Like, he has pneumonia. He's like, we have to drain his lungs. I said, okay. I said, I went back in there and said, honey, they've got to drain your lungs. She's like, okay. I said, and the doctor's trying to convince me to convince you to get you put asleep because it's going to be painful so you don't feel it. He goes, no, just tell him to drain my fucking lungs. I don't want to get put asleep again. Because Chris and I always had this thing with general anesthetic. We don't like it. Like, I had 2 boob jobs and a nose job totally awake. I just had a local sedative. I just had local anesthetic, and I'm wide awake from my nose getting chiseled away and 2 boob jobs. We don't get general anesthetic unless you need open heart surgery.
Right.
But basically, numb us, do your job, and let's go home. So I told the doctor, I said, just drain it. He doesn't want to be put to sleep. He's like, please convince him. It's a really not a comfortable thing. I go back in there. I said, honey, let them put you out. Drain your lungs. Everything will be fine. I said, I'll be in the next room. Everything will be okay. He's like, all right, fine. So I kissed him. I said, I love you. He says, I love you too. I said, I'll see you when you wake up. Go in the next room. I'm sitting there. And by then, I called his dad to come up. I said, pneumonia, this, that, and the other. So me and my mom and his dad are sitting right in the next room. 20 minutes later, doctor comes in, kneels down in front of me and says, sorry, he's gone. I said, what? I said, you're sorry he's gone? I said, what are you talking about? Gone where? Did he get up and walk out? He's like, no, we lost him. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't comprehend this. I said, you were putting him to sleep to drain his fucking lungs? And he was gone. And then that's when they said they found the blood clot. They said after the surgery, a blood clot formed in his ankle and went to his lungs, which caused pneumonia, and went to his heart. And then there was nothing they could have done. I said, did you try to revive him? They said it wouldn't have worked because the blood clot had just destroyed everything in there.
See, I thought he passed away at his house.
No.
I didn't know
He was
that.
in the hospital. So basically, I put him to sleep. I said, honey, everything will be fine. I'll see you in 20 minutes. And that was it. The doctor, I started beating on the doctor. I started punching the doctor in the face. I was just a lunatic. And I said, God, what did I say to the doctor next? Oh, the doctor says to me, he goes, where did he have the surgery? I said, Florida. He goes, why the hell did he fly home? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, why did he fly home? You can't fly after surgery. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, the altitude caused the blood clot, the altitude of the plane. I said, you're kidding me. I said, when he got home and he gave me his prescription, it was for pain, no antibiotics. The doctor goes, no antibiotics? I said, no. He goes, what were his instructions? I said, do not eat for 6 hours after surgery. He goes, it said nothing about not flying home? I said, nothing. He said, well, that's what caused the blood clot, was the altitude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys taking legal action against the hospital?
Well, I requested all the papers from the hospital down in Florida. Finally, like 3 months after everything, I finally got this huge envelope. And I have a few lawyer friends that work out in my gym, and I've explained everything to them. Like, oh yeah, you have a negligence, malpractice, and wrongful death case. So I'm just looking for the right lawyer to proceed with that.
Right.
I have all these papers that have nothing about an antibiotic and no instructions of flying home. And his address on all the papers is New Jersey. They knew he had to come home. I mean, if they said you can't fly home, we have 30 friends in Florida he could have stayed with for 2 months. He could have stayed with Shane for 6 months if he had to.
Right.
With anyone, anyone at all. And Shane even said that when I saw him at the funeral. He's like, he can stay with me as long as he needs. I'm like, I know, but we didn't know that. No one said anything.
What went through your head? Obviously you were really distraught and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of people were worried that you were going to do something to yourself. Did you ever think of that, or?
No, I'm not a suicidal person.
Okay.
That kind of thing has never crossed my mind about anything. You don't understand. When I was 20, I lost my father, my best friend. When I was 24, I lost my niece when she was 16, was brain dead in a car accident, who was probably the closest thing I'll ever have to a daughter. And then Chris. I wasn't suicidal the first two. I'm not going to be suicidal the last one. I'm too strong and stubborn of a person to want to kill myself over something like that.
Right.
I mean, seriously. I mean, I've never in my life said I want to die. Never. Most of the time, I'm like, all right, this fucking sucks, but I'll move on. I'll get over it. Because that's just, I'm Russian, and I'm a Sagittarius, and we're strong sons of bitches.
Right.
Seriously. And, no, never in my life. Yeah, a lot of people were calling me, like, people I haven't even heard from in years. Oh, my God, we're so worried about you doing something to yourself. I'm like, I'm not going to do anything to myself. I said, lay off. You're starting to drive me a little nuts here. First of all, you just woke me up. Second of all, you're interrupting CSI. Third of all, I'm not killing myself.
Right.
But no, absolutely not.
Were you the one who had to break the news to his family?
Well,
They were
like
there.
I said, on the way up to the hospital, I called his father.
Right.
So he met us there. And then right after it happened, that's when we called his mom and everybody else, and they came to see him basically before they carted him away.
Did anyone step up and help you make arrangements and things like that?
Well, here's another complicated thing. Not many people know this, but Chris and I were never legally married. We have no legal pieces of paper saying that we were legal married, because we never did. As far as we were concerned, if we were together, it's all that mattered. Nothing else mattered. So we didn't care. We said one day if we have a family, that's when we'll get married.
Right.
But it didn't matter to us. And because I wasn't legally his wife, guess who got to make all the arrangements? Mommy and Daddy.
Right.
We were supposed to meet at the funeral home to make all the arrangements, and I walk in and they were already there, his mom, stepfather, father and stepmother. I walk in and sit down, and before I can even say hello, his mom goes to me, goes, well, we've decided we're going to cremate him. I said, excuse me? So you didn't even ask me what I think? She goes, well, I'm not always going to live in New Jersey the rest of my life, so I want to bring him with me. I said, wait a minute. Was that one of the most morbid things I've ever heard? I said, well, first of all, I don't agree with cremation. Second of all, I was hoping to bury him with my dad because they were really close, And I said, I understand, okay, if you don't want to bury him with my dad, but I don't want him cremated. They're like, well, you don't have a choice. But his mom goes, his mom goes, don't worry, I want to cremate him because I want to bring him with me, but don't worry, you're going to get a third. I was like, wait, you're going to separate it in 3 ways for mother, father, and me? What the fuck is that? What the fuck? What, better if you want to cremate him, then you want to divide it up? What, do you want to sell some on eBay while you're at it fucking too? I got so pissed off. I was sitting there just fuming. And then the funeral director was writing out like the forms and stuff. And as soon as he comes to marital status, his father yells out single. I stood up and I got his father's face. I said, you motherfucker. I didn't spend 15 years with this man because I'm single. So you just fucking disrespected me. I walked out, I slammed the door, I went into the bathroom, slammed the door. Here comes his stepmother, his father's wife, after me. How dare you talk to my husband like that? I said, no, hold on. How dare him talk to me like that? I said, there were years he didn't speak to his father because they never got along. Who was there for him? Me. That was it. I said, they never even had a relationship after a bunch of years. You know, I'm the one who had the closest relationship with him, and I'm being disrespected left and right. So finally I was like, you know what? I don't want any part of you people. I'm done with you. I said, you make the arrangements, I'll be there. I just, go ahead. Have your fucking fun. You know, do what you want to do. So they made all the arrangements. They did everything like that. Then at the funeral, I was sitting there in the funeral home, and his mom comes up to me and says, basically, it's my fault. I should have taken him to the hospital sooner. I could have prevented it. I could have prevented it. How could I have prevented it? The doctor said there was nothing anybody could have done. Nothing. But I could have prevented it if I took him sooner. And then basically, I'm not going to say the exact words she said, but something to the effect that it should have been me, not him. So basically, I haven't spoken to his mom since, and I don't care to. Talked to his dad. His dad, of course, supported what she was saying, that I should have brought him to the hospital sooner. I only spoke to him once since then. So his mother I have never spoken to again. His father once so far. But his little sister and his brother, we're close. We're still tight.
Right.
I see them all the time.
Did anyone surprise you by attending the funeral or did not attend?
Oh my God. First of all, there was no one who did not attend. Were you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't think there was anybody who didn't attend. We had people that flew in from Japan to come. People flew in from all over the freaking world. I don't know what service you were at, because the thing was such a blur, and there were so many people
All of them.
that, I mean, remember the night session?
Yes, it was packed.
I got there, I was like,
There's a line outside.
It was like an indie show.
There was a line. I swear to God, I looked up at this guy, I said, you finally sold this son of a bitch out.
All right.
Finally. I couldn't believe it. It was like a jam-packed indie show with, but everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody. It
There
wasn't
was
just
people I haven't seen since ECW since like 94.
I know, it wasn't just
95.
an indie show. There was WWE.
Everybody.
Almost the entire TNA crew came. Terry Funk, Sabu, a bunch of guys from Japan. You name it, they were there.
Dixie Carter.
Yeah. Her father came the next morning to the funeral. I never even met Dixie, and she comes right up to me and hugs me and everything. I don't even remember everyone that was there because I was so overwhelmed and I was just like in awe. I couldn't believe it. And it was the biggest house Chris ever drew.
Right.
You know damn well it was. But I could not believe it. And that session was only supposed to be from 7 to 9. We extended it from 6 to 9 because we thought there'd be more people. We were there from 6 to 11:30. It was fucking nuts. It was nuts. I mean, I was even saying to him, like, look how many people love you.
Right.
You know, it was hard, but it was actually good because everybody showed, you know.
Right. I was going to ask you, how did you handle things over the next few weeks following the funeral once everything calmed down?
I was a basket case. I didn't do anything. I sat in bed. Didn't eat. I might have eaten 3 meals a week. Not 3 meals a day, 3 meals a week. I'd go for a whole day without food. Because I couldn't eat. Couldn't. I had to sit in bed, watch TV, and I wouldn't even shower for a week. I couldn't get up. Couldn't move.
And I knew Franny took you under her wing, and a couple people like Dawn.
Yeah, I went to Dawn to stay with Dawn for a few days. That was good. Talking to Franny a lot, but I just needed time to kind of get my head together, and it did.
Right.
It did.
How did you stay afloat and keep positive?
Well, of course, my whole family thinks I know what's better for me than I do. Not realizing that I am the strongest son of a bitch you'll probably ever meet mentally. They make me go to a psychiatrist. I'm like, I don't want to go. Basically, everybody was insisting, no, you're going. They were throwing me in the car and taking me. I was like, I'm okay. I don't need a psychiatrist. So go to the psychiatrist. She puts me on antidepressants. What do? Gain weight.
Right.
Went back to her. I said, can't put me on anything that's going to make me gain weight because I'm going to be more miserable than I already am. I said, you don't know me. I said, weight gain will make me more depressed than what happened with Chris. Okay. I said, you don't understand. I'm handling that depression okay. She goes, no, well, your mental health is more important than your weight. was like, you know what? Screw you then. I'm not paying any more money. I'm not coming back to you. I said, put me on something else or I'm done. She wouldn't change me on anything else. So basically, I stopped going back, and over a course of like 2 months, I just weaned myself off because you can't stop antidepressants right off the bat because it makes your whole body go loony. So I just weaned myself off and cut pills down smaller and smaller, and then I got off, and I was like, you know what? I didn't even need that. It didn't help depression because I really wasn't depressed. I'm not a depressed person. I've never had depression ever in my life, and there were lots of things in my life I could have been depressed about, and I never was. But then all of a sudden, you know, I find out that the one thing she put me on, Paxil, is the main weight gainer of all the antidepressants. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So by then, I had lost a good, like, 20 pounds. So 3 months of antidepressants, guess what? Right back on.
Right.
I could have killed her. Could have killed her. But, yeah, people don't know that either. I mean, antidepressants fuck up your body. They fuck up your system. They really do. And that was another thing. So people don't know about the pancreatitis, the thyroid problem, and the antidepressants. Well, guess what? Now you know.
I guess the first booking you took was WEW. How did that come about?
Oh, Francine called me and said, I have a booking for you. It was a week after the funeral. And I was like, you know what? I got to get out of the house because I'm just miserable laying here. She's like, it'll be $500. Come on down. I'm like, okay, what the hell, you know?
That was in Texas?
Oh, no. We're talking
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dan
Okay,
Cowell.
yeah, Dan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I get there, and of course they want to do the 10 bell count, and they want me to say something. And I was pretty good holding it together, but then I broke down afterwards because it was only a week after,
Right.
you know. And then I got really broke down when Dan gave me a check for $100. I was told $5. And I was like, I just came here, got in the ring, poured my heart out on a microphone for all you fucking fans, and you giving me $100 instead of $5? He goes, I never said $5. I'm like, Francine did.
Right.
And then, of course, she's saying, no, I didn't. Like, I wouldn't have come here for $100.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. So, and then, of course, on the way home, I realized that, you know what, it's too soon. It was way too soon. Big mistake.
I was going to ask you, my next question, in retrospect, were you ready to handle being in front of a crowd again?
Not so soon, no.
Okay.
I thought I did, and that's why I went. Afterwards, I was like, oh, excuse me. I was like, oh, you know what? No, it was too soon. Wasn't ready. And what did I do after that? Got hammered. After I was doing so well.
Right.
Because I was so fucked up in the head thinking, oh my God, that was way too soon. I got way too emotional. I shouldn't have been there. So I'm like, how am I going to numb the pain? Oh, I'm going to go get drunk. You know,
Right.
it's a big mistake. Shouldn't have gone down there. Then none of that would have happened.
Who was your biggest support system afterwards? Was it yourself?
Well, you know, I don't know. It mostly was myself because, like I said, I am the strongest person I know.
Right.
And there's been a lot of times in my life when I needed help, there wasn't really anybody to help me. Only Chris. And really nobody else knew how to help me. So I was like, all right, I've got to kick myself in the ass to, you know, get back on track because nobody else is really going to do it. Luckily, I do have my mom. You know, we didn't get along for a lot of years, and then we started getting along again over the past couple of years, thank God. So I had her. But, yeah, mostly it was like, you know, I would sit there and talk to him and talk to myself, and sometimes I thought I was crazy talking out loud to myself and to him. But, yeah, I just kicked myself in the ass and said, all right, you don't get depressed about this. You're not going to get upset about this. You're going to move on. So.
How much harder was it, I guess, at that point to resist temptation without the support of Chris with, like, alcohol and stuff?
You know what? It wasn't. Because it was such a long time. You running out of battery?
I will switch tapes after this question.
Good, I gotta clean up anyway. It was such a long time for me not to do anything that it's not like I went, okay, I'm gonna go right back down into a ditch. So I was just like, I didn't have the temptation anymore.
Right.
Seriously, it was a long time since I touched a painkiller or a Soma or a Xanax, anything.
Right.
A long time. And it never once did it say, okay, I want to do this again because it was so far out of my mind that it was just, you know, for your dieting, okay, for whatever.
Right.
And you stop eating ice cream because that's your favorite thing. And you haven't eaten ice cream in like a year, all of a sudden you don't go, I'm going to gorge on ice cream. You're like, you don't
Right.
need the ice cream
Been there,
anymore.
done it.
It's the same thing.
You did an interview where you said that Chris's family held TNA responsible for Chris's death. Do they still hold them responsible?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't talk to his parents.
Okay.
Haven't talked to his mom since it happened. Talked to his dad once, and it wasn't even about that. I needed some help in his dad's hospital. My mom had a car accident, so I called his dad to say, can you rush her through everything?
Right.
That was it.
His dad was a doctor? Or?
No, his dad is the head of engineering of
Okay.
2 hospitals, but he's got pull, basically. You know, everybody knows him. So I just asked him to make a phone call and ask them to run my mom through the ER quicker. But other than that, no, it doesn't even come up because I don't speak to them.
Okay. Have you and his brother Johnny ever talked about working together on the Indies, or is it pretty
I
much...
see Johnny all the time.
Right.
I mean, even if it's not at a show, I see him a couple times during the week. He comes to, you know, my gym, or I go to see him. We have lunch. Same thing with his sister. So nothing has changed between, you know, me and the sisters and the brother. Nothing at all.
Do you think anybody exploited his death?
Oh yeah, You know how many people had memorial shows that didn't even know him, that he never worked for?
Right.
It was ridiculous. I was finding out left and right all Chris Candido memorial shows. You fuckers didn't even know him. You know, I mean, it was ridiculous. Everybody exploited him trying to make money off of him.
Was there any companies that you agreed with besides Goodman's? I know Ian's doing one.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because Chris would go out and work for him all the time, and Ian would short him money left and right. Like Chris would go out for 3 shows and get, you know, be guaranteed 5 a show. He's supposed to come home with $1,500. He'd come home with $600. Like, you're supposed to come home with 15, not 6. Because, well, he was short on money. He said he'd send me a check. And a couple months would go by. He would never send him the rest of the money. I would call Ian and curse him out, saying, what the fuck? You're taking advantage of Chris. You know he's going to come out. You know he's going to work for 200 instead of 5 each show. And then you're fucking him over. So who the fuck kind of friend are you? You know? And now I hear he wants to run a memorial show. Why? So he can make more money off of Chris after he didn't pay him? I totally don't agree with that one. Totally. And I really don't agree with people who want to do this and don't even... I'm not saying include me and pay me, but involve me in some way. Ask me, will you be our guest?
Right.
Something. But people who want to just do their own thing for their own monetary benefit is fucked up.
What about cyberspace? Agreed with?
Cyberspace, I love cyberspace.
Okay.
Those people have been seriously my family in this business for a while. Since everything happened, because Chris had just taken a couple dates for them right before everything happened, and I didn't even work for them yet.
He had one of his best matches ever with Matt Striker.
I know.
Awesome.
I didn't even see it yet. I only heard about it. I still haven't seen it. Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
awesome.
But seriously, since everything happened, they are my friends. They're my family. I've made so many friends with all the TNA people that come up. I look forward to the cyber. I don't look forward to wrestling anymore at all. I look forward to the cyberspace shows each month or every other month, whenever they do have them, because I go there and I have so much fun. And, you know, Billy Firehawk treats me with so much respect. Derek, the other owner, he and I are actually really good friends now. We talk on the phone a couple nights a week, you know,
Right.
or we just text each other, you know, just some goofy stuff.
Right.
They asked me to help. They throw me a couple extra bucks if I help them out picking up the TNA, I guess, from the airport, driving them back. No problem with it because they're my friends. It's like I'm getting paid to pick up my friends at the airport.
Right.
Not a problem. You know, I became friends with a lot of people that I really never knew before. Like Tracy Brooks and I are really tight. Every time we're together, we're inseparable. It's you know, it's a good atmosphere. I really like working for them. I enjoy the shows. I get to see one of my best friends, Billy Gunn, all the time.
Right.
Kip and I have been friends for 12 years. And then before everything happened, when he was coming up for like the Goodman shows after he got, you know, let go, you know, him, me, Chris just picked up where we left off with our friendship. And since everything happened, when everything happened, Billy was like the one guy, the one friend of anyone that was there for me. He called me every single day. He never missed a day. Even if we didn't have a conversation, he was like, hey, how you feeling today? How you doing? Everything good? You okay? Call me if you need anything. Every single day. Didn't miss a beat. Didn't miss a beat. Then we were both booked on a Frank Goodman show and an appearance in Allentown one day. So I said, well, we're both booked on the same stuff. I'll pick you up from the airport. We'll just do the whole run together. And that was only like a month after the funeral. Thank God we had that day together. He, for a 12-hour day, he just cracked me up, made me laugh, talked about old road trips, talked about all kinds of funny, like, ribs and stuff like that on the road. We had such a good time, and seriously, since then, he's still one of my best friends. Thank God I have him. So luckily, cyberspace, I get to see him all the time.
Right.
You know, like I said, that whole crew are my friends. And they're a bunch of good people. They really are. And they haven't screwed me over since. And they never will.
How long was it before I guess you started dating?
You know, it was months. It was a few months, but I didn't start dating saying to myself I need to replace him. I really didn't, because I can never replace him. But I'm sorry, but I got lonely and I was bored. You know, so I met people at, you know, the gym, or I met people through friends, and you know, I wanted to go out and try to have a good time. You know, so it was a few months, and people were saying to me, don't you think it's too soon? I'm like, I'm not getting married. I'm not doing, you know, I'm just going out and having a good time. I guess I started in like August or September,
Right.
I think. And I was just like, I'm just going out and having fun and meeting people. Most of the time I met idiots and assholes. Like my one friend from the gym, she's a fitness manager there. She, you know, she's taking me down to Jenks every weekend in Point Pleasant, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I'm just meeting all these drunk idiots. This isn't a good thing. I don't even like bars. I mean, never mind clubs. I'm not a club goer.
Right.
And I'm sitting there like, I'm just meeting these assholes, and I'm getting phone numbers. I'm like, I don't want to call you. You're a fucking moron,
Right.
you know. But no, and then kind of had a friend of mine that was a trainer in my gym that we kind of hung out a few times. He turned out to be a real asshole. And then out of the blue, I met somebody who I'm crazy about right now. Should I talk about him?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, okay. If nobody knows right now, I do have a regular job. I'm in sales, and I work at a New York sports club in New Jersey. Keeps me busy 5 days a week. anywhere from 8 to 14 hours a day. Keeps my mind off of things. I took the job because I needed to do something, keep my mind off of things. Best thing I could have done. Made a ton of friends in the gym, made a ton of friends that I work with. And there's a bunch of cops that work out in my gym. And one day, one of the cops, this guy Jerry, says to me, I want you to meet my friend John. This is back in like November. I said, okay, tell me about him. He goes, well, he's a Jersey City cop. I'm like, oof, okay, I'm not crazy about cops. He's like, but he goes, he's cocky, he's arrogant, he's loud, he's obnoxious, he's crazy, he's a little bit of a psychopath. He's just like you. You're perfect for each other. And I was like, okay, he sounds just like me. Hook it up. Nothing happened. This was back in November, and then January 14th, out of the blue, I get a phone call from Jerry. And he's like, hey, you know, we're all out here. All of us cops went out tonight. It's guys' night out, and my friend John's here that I told you about. I'm like, okay. He goes, well, he wanted me to give you his phone number. I said, all right, give me the phone number. That night, I just texted the guy. I didn't call him. I just texted him back and forth, and then he called me. And for the following 3 days, we were on the phone 24 hours a day. Incredible conversations. Still didn't meet him. And basically, he's like, you want to come meet me Monday night? I have a football game. He plays football with a bunch of cops every Monday.
Right.
I'm like, all right, I'll come meet the guy. He sounds awesome on the phone. We can't get off the phone with each other. So, go to the football game and say to myself, I hope he's not 400 pounds with one eye and no teeth, because I really kind of like this guy.
Right.
Show up. He's not my usual type. He shaves his head. I usually don't like bald guys, but it works for him. Green eyes, 5'11", 235, muscular. I was like, okay, I didn't do too bad on this one. We became inseparable. It's been 5 amazing weeks. I'll probably spend the rest of my life with him. Probably. Ooh, scary. That's scary, but yeah, we have so much in common. It's just unreal. It's unreal.
Was it weird dating since you were with Chris, since I guess you were in high school?
Yeah, I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know. My friends were like, oh, you gotta get on the dating scene. I'm like, I don't know what the dating scene is. I've never had to do it.
Huh.
You know, seriously, we met last month the senior year in high school, and that's all I've known. So I went from being with my parents to being with him to being thrust into the world not knowing anything. I had no idea what the dating scene was like. And I still don't, luckily. Thank God, I don't want to know.
Right.
But, yeah, it was weird. It was really weird. Thought I'd never have to do it.
Would you ever want to go back to WWE? And if so, who would you want to manage her?
I would like to go back. I'm only 33. I just turned 33. Like I said before, like I am on my thyroid medication, have lost 15 pounds already, and it's going down drastically every day. And I know my body. Once my system gets, everything gets kicked back into gear, I know how to diet, I know how to work out. I've done it before a million times. I've been in phenomenal shape many times in my life. Yeah, I would like to. I'm working on getting back into sunny shape. I call it sunny shape.
Right.
That's what I don't say good shape. I say sunny shape. I'm working on that. I would like another run. I really would. Not only because, the business is in my blood. I've always loved the business, but I want to go back there and show those fucking girls how it's done.
I'm going to ask you all about that coming up.
Basically.
I guess who do you think has a chance on the indies of making it in WWE?
Girls or guys?
Either or.
You know what? It's weird because I'm. I don't know. Mike Krul, I really like his work.
Right.
His personality has to evolve a little bit.
Right, he needs a charisma.
Yeah, but his personality. You know what? I've seen him as a heel. His personality is great.
Right.
He takes a lot from Chris. He really tries to mold himself around that heel. Not the goofy heel, but the heel. So when he's a heel, he really has personality. But everybody always books him as a babyface, and it's just like, but his work is phenomenal.
Right.
Honestly, I don't think there are any girls right now ready. Because, first of all, there's a lot of girls there that aren't ready. Never mind the ones on the indie scene. What other people? See, the problem is with the indie scene, if this was mid-90s, I could give you a list of 100 people that I think would be phenomenal.
Right.
But now, because they've gone back to like that mid-80s, huge, 6'4", 300-pound muscular guys, Batista looks.
Right.
It's so much harder.
It's all kids now in the indie scene.
Seriously, and it's all shorter.
Right.
Shorter guys. So like when Chris was thinking about going back too, he was even saying, it's the the monster era again. They went from the monster era in the 80s to the good workers, and doesn't matter what your size is in the 90s, back to the monster era now in 2000s.
Right.
So Chris is even like, I really want to go, but I don't see myself there right now. That's why he chose TNA.
Right.
Because he saw himself there. He saw that could work. Whereas, with WWE, because, when he went to the Raw thing, Vince even went up to him, he goes, Chris, I want to bring you back. He's like, please don't sign with anyone, especially TNA right now. Vince even said that to him. But he waited like another 9 months and nothing was happening yet. He's like, well, I'm not going to sit around forever, and maybe nothing will ever happen because I don't look like Batista. So he was like, well, I'm going to go to TNA. And I'm so glad he did. And he's so glad he did because that's where he fit, you know, and that's where he enjoyed it.
Do you think TNA exploited his death? Because I know they did the Candido Cup and all. And there was rumors that you didn't even know about it until after.
I didn't know about it.
Right.
I didn't know about it. I called up Terry Taylor, a bit upset. I wasn't crying. I was just like, how could you do this and not even tell me? He goes, oh, well, we tried to contact you. We couldn't find you. I said, I still have the same cell phone number. I used Chris's cell phone.
Right.
Same phone number. I said, you didn't try to find me because, I mean, millions of people know how to find me. Plus, I'm using Chris's phone, the number that you guys have in your system.
Right.
I said, you're full of shit. And I was already angry at them because, well, first of all, I appreciate that everybody from TNA came, and I appreciate Dixie Carter came to the funeral and everything like that. I'm not talking about the boys, I'm talking about the office now. I appreciate they all came, but first of all, I found it a little tacky. They sent me a ham. A ham. Right before the funeral. They sent me a fucking ham. He died from something he did in their ring, and I get a fucking ham in the mail? A fucking ham. A boneless fucking ham wrapped in plastic in a basket.
Right.
It was the biggest joke. I brought the ham to Dawn Marie's when I went to her house. I'm like, look what I got from TNA. Woohoo! She was like, you got a ham. I'm like, yeah, I got a ham. A fucking ham. Then, 2 weeks later, I finally get his last check in the mail from the pay-per-view and the TVs that the last ones he worked, where he broke his ankle. And the problem was, I couldn't deposit it. Chris never wanted his name on any bank accounts, nothing like that. He never, nothing.
Right.
So we always went to the bank, he would show his ID, and we would deposit his check into my accounts. So I go and I try to deposit the check, and they're looking at, he's got to be here. I'm like, he can't be here. Get that through your head. They're like, nothing we can do. So I called up Terry Taylor, and I called up Dixie, and I said, I need his last, I have bills of his to pay. I said, I need his last paycheck. I said, because I explained the whole bank account situation. I said, I need a check cut in my name so I can deposit it. I'm not looking for any money for myself. I'm looking for his last paycheck.
Right.
A couple of months went by. Nothing. I keep calling Terry Taylor. He's like, I'm working on it. Finally, Terry calls me back. He goes, well, we can't do it. I said, why not? He goes, well, you guys were never legally married, and you don't have his last name, so we can't cut you a check. Sorry. I was like, that's the check that he died for. And you can give me that money so I can pay off his bills? So that's fucked up. So I do like TNA because I like watching the shows. I don't appreciate what their office did. Because they fucked me up. I got a ham. I didn't get his last paycheck, but I got that ham. Woohoo! Ugh, anyway.
I guess being that, you know, you're in the business and you are a woman, do you think a full-time women's wrestling company could work?
No, are you kidding me? Never could, never would.
Okay.
Not in a million years.
You enjoyed doing commentary, or did you not like doing commentary?
Loved it.
Okay.
It was fun. And luckily now on the Johnny Cashmere shows, what the hell are they called? UXW? I'm doing commentary on those with Bill After, and we have so much fun.
Right.
I don't know if they'll ever be heard, but if you do get a chance to hear it, you should hear us. We're hysterical. No, but I love doing commentary. I always have. I love doing it with Vince. I love doing it with, you know, I did with Doc and with Vince. I think it was the most fun because sometimes I would say things and Vince wouldn't know how to react to them. Some things would come out of my mouth. He was a little bit shocked. But no, I do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
What is the craziest thing a promoter ever asked you to do?
Craziest thing. Well, as far as I'm concerned, nothing in this business is really crazy.
Right.
It all comes as like in job description.
Nature of the...
But probably the craziest thing I was ever asked to do, and I shouldn't have done it because I'm paying for it now. 2001 in XPW, Rob Black wanted a really big bump from me. I said, all right, what kind? He goes, well, I was thinking of like a pile driver through a table. I said, I don't trust anybody to drive my head through a table. I said, I'll take a power bomb off the top, but that's fine. I've seen girls do it. You know, not a big deal.
Right.
You know, I've been told it doesn't hurt. Never took a table bump before. So basically, he's like, oh, I'll set it up where, you know, Lizzie's on the table, you're on top of Lizzie Borden, and then, you know, you get a splash to the table. I said, that's not good because Vic Grimes, huge, 400 pounds, going to splash us. I said, two girls on top of each other, I mean, one of us is going to get it, probably her, because she was so little.
Right.
I said, if you want her on the table, have him powerbomb me this way through, not head. He wanted it like a 69 position.
Right.
But it had been like my face in her knees. I mean, we would have crushed or something would have
Right.
happened. I said, let him powerbomb me through the table. So she just has to bend at the waist. He's like, okay. So we were in the match. I don't remember what match it was. I think it was Shane against Vic. It started as Chris against Vic Grimes, but Chris had put a pulled groin, so it became Shane against Vic Grimes. And, you know, Lizzie and I are down selling, and Vic Grimes is setting up the table, and I notice, I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, he's taking the wrong table. Instead of getting a table from under the ring, he grabs a timekeeper's table right there in Philadelphia,
Right.
which it's a narrow table. It's like a 8-layer thick plywood table. It's not a regular table.
Right.
And I see him taking the wrong table, and I'm like, oh, fuck, that's the hard one. That's the hard table. This is going to hurt. He sets it up, and I see right away this is not going to be good. Puts Lizzie on, puts me on the top rope, sets me up, gets underneath me. Powerbomb. What happens? I bounce. Because the table's moving.
Right.
It's too thick. And all of a sudden, we're in Philly in the ECW arena. The whole place starts booing. I was like, there's no way I'm getting booed out of this fucking building after all the times I'm working in it. I look at him, I said, pick me up and drive me through the son of a bitch. Because when I bounced, Lizzie rolled off because she was in pain. I looked at him, I said, pick me up and drive me through the son of a bitch. She goes, are you sure? I said, do it. I'm not getting booed out of this building because you grabbed the wrong fucking table, douchebag.
All right.
So he sets me up again, picks me up, and of course he doesn't come through it with me. He just drives me through. The thing shattered, and I was like, okay, well, no, I feel, my adrenaline's up, I feel okay. Well, since then, I have to go to a chiropractor 3 times a week, and I have permanent nerve damage in my lower back from that table. Yeah, it's not fun. Like, even just this morning, I'm trying to get out of bed, and sometimes if I just move the wrong way, or if I even cough the wrong way, my lower back just locks up,
right.
and it feels like somebody's stabbing me and, like, twisting the knife in there. That happened this morning again. Sometimes I can't even walk when it gets bad. I have to just wait for it to ease up. It's not good. Not good at all.
We were talking about Shawn Michaels earlier on. What do you think of Shawn's life turnaround as a reborn Christian and all that stuff?
You know what? I haven't spoken to him since I left WWE. We've said hello to each other through people a couple times, but we've never spoken. So I really don't know how far his Christian belief thing is. I really don't know.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, it's his prerogative. Whatever he wants to do, it's up to him. He's married. He's got kids. If he wants to raise them that way, that's fine. I mean, it's not for me to judge.
Right.
It's really not.
Speaking of Shawn, there's so many rumors about you guys and Bret. Is there anything that you want to say that you have never been able to say
Number
before?
one, I've never slept with Bret Hart. Ever. Never. Never happened. Bret and I were friends. Bret used my locker room at shows. See, Bret didn't like people. He doesn't like using a locker room with the guys. He doesn't like it. So he would always say, do you mind if I share your locker room? Not a problem. So when he was changing, I would leave. When I would go in and change, he would leave. If neither was changing, we would usually just hanging out, just bullshitting. Because he didn't like being around the boys. And we got along, so he didn't mind being around me. Chris knew nothing was going on. Chris was in there most of the time talking with us. And, I mean, it's not like the doors were locked when we were in there.
Right.
Chris is in and out the whole time, talking to Bret, talking to me. You know, we're going over matches. Nothing happened. But we spent so much time together in locker rooms, I guess people assumed that something was happening.
Right.
Didn't happen. Shawn, on the other hand... okay. How can I put this? Okay, put it this way. I never deliberately cheated on Chris. Ever. There was a time from 96 to 97 that Chris and I pretty much split up. Nobody knows this.
Right.
No one knows this at all. His family didn't even know this. My mom knew that things weren't good, but she didn't know what to extent it was. For almost a year, Chris was living out of a hotel. He would come home to get clothes, go back to the hotel. We would see each other at work. That was it. We wouldn't even travel together at work. We would just see each other in the locker room and at ringside. I'd have my own rental car. He'd have his own. We'd go to separate hotels. Fly on the same plane home. I would go home. He'd go to his hotel. For almost a year. It really wasn't good. I thought that was it. I really did. We just tried to be cordial at work, and we weren't even cordial half the time because we were at each other's throats.
Right.
One thing led to another, and I was standing at the curtain one day, watching TV taping, and Shawn walked up and back of me, and he's watching over my head. Oh, God, this is going to get juicy because nobody knows about this stuff.
All right.
He's looking over my head, like just, looking over my head, and all of a sudden he goes, "You feel that?" I went, "Matter of fact, I do."
Right.
I think you know what I mean about, "Do you feel that?" I was like, okay, and things are running through my head. What is he doing? This is Shawn Michaels. I'm just some little girl in this company. Because I didn't quite understand in my head where I was at that point. I mean, I was here, but in my head I was still the new little girl who, I was young.
Right.
I was really young. It was 96, so I was 23. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is the Heartbreak Kid, and he's pushing himself up against me. What is going on? I don't even remember how everything happened the first time, but eventually it turned out to be, I was called the Click Chick, because the Click was Kevin, Scott, Sean Waltman, Shawn Michaels, me, and then Hunter eventually. But the Click always stayed at the same hotel. Everybody stayed at a different hotel. The Click always traveled around together. Everybody else was, doing their own thing. Eventually came down to, the only people who knew that Shawn and I were actually together was the Click and Vince. Vince
Right.
McMahon knew. Vince was supportive. Shawn and I would be at catering getting like a Diet Coke, and Vince would walk up. "So, how are we doing today?" All because he knew.
Right.
It even got to the point that if we were going to a different town or that night to fly out of a different town, Shawn and I, Vince would let us use his locker room to be together before we had to part ways that night. It was crazy. I mean, there was a lot of crazy stuff going around in that locker room with me and Sean. A lot of crazy stuff. A few months down the road, we went to Jamaica together. My mom found out about this. I didn't even tell my mom about Sean. Nobody knows. My mom doesn't even know about this. We go to Jamaica. Sean needed a vacation. It was right after he got beat up. And I'm going to tell you about how he got beat up. We're in Syracuse, and nothing had really happened with me and Sean yet. We were just friends, and he did that little, push-up against me thing.
Right.
We're in Syracuse, and Chris and I are asleep, and banging on the door, it's Davey. I'm like, Davey, what's up? He goes, you got to come next door. I'm like, for what? I'm asleep. He goes, Sean got beat up. I'm like, what else is new? He always gets beat up. I go around the corner, there's Sean just totally bloody. His face is all swollen like the Elephant Man, bleeding out of his ear. I'm like, this isn't good. We got to call 911. So all of his friends and Davey go back out to go to the bar, and me and Chris go to the hospital with him. And Chris and him never got along from day one. But here's, me and Chris. Chris is trying to be helpful. We're holding ice packs on his face. I ordered a plastic surgeon. Well, I guess the fact that I did all that for him and took care of him like that when nobody else really gave a shit, it touched him, because then all of a sudden he was so attached to me. So then we started seeing each other. We were, we were doing our own thing on the road, our own thing in locker rooms, our own thing in Vince's locker room, broom closet, electrical closet, whatever we could find at the shows to be together.
Right.
Then he was like, I really need a vacation. Where do you want to go? I'm like, you serious? He goes, yeah, find anywhere you want to go. I'll take you. I said, okay. So, of course, I'm looking through all these travel books, and I found this beautiful resort in Jamaica called Siboney in Ocho Rios. I showed him. He goes, perfect. He goes, all right, I'll book everything. It's okay. I get my plane tickets in the mail. We were going for a week. First class plane tickets, of course, because he never flew anything less. Neither did I. And then we get there, and I find out when we get there, he rented the honeymoon suite that cost $5,000 a night for the honeymoon suite. We had a living room with a kitchen and a bathroom. In the center was a courtyard with a private pool and private jacuzzi with no roof, so you can skinny dip all day long. You have walls,
Right.
but no roof. And then the bedroom and bathroom and things like that. It was $5,000 a day for this. And it was some place that all movie stars and stuff go to, and that's the only room they get. But it was funny because we booked the honeymoon suite, they thought we're on our honeymoon. So every day there's a new bottle of champagne for the honeymooners,
Right.
on the front porch. Every single night for dinner, you don't go out for dinner. If you're on your honeymoon there, they come and they cook in your kitchen in your private suite, and they have the chef come in and make you these gourmet meals. They make you these gourmet meals. They have a guitarist come in and play music to you, and while you're eating and stuff like that. And one night we're sitting there, I'm eating filet mignon, he's eating some kind of swordfish or something like that, and he whispers into the guy's ear, and the guy starts playing an Elvis song, and then Sean starts singing to me, Welcome to My World.
Huh.
And I'm like, oh my God. Here I am, I'm like, okay, I've really been into this guy, but now I think I'm falling in love with him.
Right.
And I can honestly say he's the second person in my life I've ever fallen in love with. I was in love with Sean. We were together for about 9 months. It was incredible. It was fun, it was exciting, it was just, we knew everything about each other. I helped him build his new house. He was living in Dallas in this small house, and he was building a new house in San Antonio, but he really didn't want to get into the decorating stuff. That's not his thing, so I would help him pick colors and things like that. As soon as the house is almost done, this is like 9 months into our relationship here, he says to me, he goes, I want you to move in with me. I said, you what? He goes, I want you to move to Texas and move into the new house with me. I was like, whoa, oh my God. Sean, I thought we were just having a really good time, and I happened to fall in love with him, but now he's asking me to move to Texas with him into the house that he just built. I was like, I got to think about this. So I went home, and I'm like, okay, I got Christopher, who I've spent all my life with, who we really haven't been getting along, and we're not even, staying in the same house together. Things are not good. We were pretty much split up, okay? And Chris never found out about Sean. And then I have Shawn Michaels, who is and see, the thing is, towards me, he was the greatest guy. He could be a cocky asshole to everybody else, and most people never liked him.
Right.
But he was a totally different person to me. I didn't see the cocky arrogantness. Yeah, of course, when we were around the rest of the boys, I saw it.
Right.
But he wasn't like that to me. That's probably one of the reasons why I fell in love with him, because I saw a totally different side. So I have Chris and Homer, who I've spent all my life with, who, things aren't good. Then I've got Sean, who's Shawn Michaels, who treats me like gold, who takes me to Jamaica for $5,000 a night, wants me to move to Texas in this brand new multi-million-dollar mansion he just built, and maybe settle down and have his kids. He even mentioned that one day. He's like, why don't we have kids one day? So I'm thinking, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? It was the worst. It was the worst way for my head. I took a while. I kept blowing off the situation. Didn't want to talk about it. Sean and I were still together for like another month. I didn't want to talk about the moving to Texas thing. It was scary. And then one day he's like, you've been avoiding the subject. What's going on? I said, well, I said, don't hate me, but I can't come to Texas. He was like, why? Why not? I said, I think I want to work things out at home with Chris. Oh my God. All hell fucking broke loose because Chris and him hated each other. And the fact that I chose Chris and tried to work things out with him over Sean, his ego, it took a bullet to his ego.
Right.
He was so furious, so... I can't even describe the way he was because he was just like, I can't believe you're picking him over me. I can't believe this. I was like, I'm sorry. I said, I've had an amazing time, but I want to work things out, you know? I mean, because Chris and I were best friends.
Right.
Even when we weren't together, we're still best friends. We kind of hated each other at the time. And, well, his ego was so hit that it was only like two weeks later, we were in Vegas for a convention, and we were at dinner, and he was like, I think this should end. I was like, is it because of... He's like, yeah, it's because of that. And he goes, you want to pick somebody else over me? He goes, I can't have that. So I said, okay, and so it ended. Month after it ended, I found out he met the Nitro girl, Rebecca. A month after they met, he got her pregnant. A month after that, they got married and she moved into my house.
Wow. What a story. That's crazy.
It's crazy, but it happened. Sean and I stopped seeing each other, and all of a sudden he meets a girl, gets her pregnant, gets her married, moves her in. I was like, whoa, how the hell? And meanwhile, I'm still in the beginning of stages of working things out.
Right. That's crazy.
It was funny. But you know what? If it was meant to be, it would have happened differently.
Right.
You know, sometimes I still think, I still used to sit around past a couple of years and think, I wonder what Sean's doing now. I wonder what would have happened if I did go to Texas. What would I be the mother of his kids now? Who knows?
Right.
But yeah, I do. I thought about it every so often. I really haven't thought about it in a long time. Probably about 6 months, maybe 8 months. I haven't thought about it. But I used to think about what if, But hey, if it was meant to be, it would have happened differently. But now the world knows. The rumors were true.
Wow. Did he treat you any different afterwards? Like, everybody talks about the one rib that everybody did to you, or the Godwins, or somebody did to you with the sandwich. You think that was because of Sean?
Sandwich.
The infamous...
Oh, no, that wasn't sandwich. That was under turkey in Germany.
Okay.
We don't really know who that was directed towards, me or Chris,
Okay.
because it was in an unmarked container.
Right.
Because we're in Germany, you eat, and then you pack up your dinner for later. You usually mark your name down, but people were kind of acting different towards us because this is after Sean and I stopped seeing each other. So we're like, let's not label ours and just let it go.
Right.
So we really don't even know who it was meant for. We really don't care. It's like we figured something's going to happen. Well, I knew something would happen because I stopped seeing Sean and all his friends were pissed off at me.
Right.
Chris didn't know why all of a sudden we're going to get, we might get ribbed in Germany. He had no idea. He never found out. The thing is, if Chris ever found out about Sean, he either didn't want to believe it or overlooked it and accepted it.
Right.
Because he loved me that much.
I think we asked him about it on the shooter interview, and he didn't really want to touch it. Well, he talked about it. He said it wasn't true.
So he either knew and didn't want to accept it, knew, didn't believe it, or knew and accepted it and just said, all right, it happened, let's move on.
Right.
To this day, I don't know if he ever really knew. I really don't. I'm sure he's heard. Everybody's heard.
Right.
But, yeah, so after that, yeah, I kind of fell out of the clique. Wasn't the clique chick anymore because I wasn't with Sean anymore. Yeah, it was a little tense in the locker room after that, but what are you going to do? Things happen.
Was there anybody else that you ever romantically involved with? Like, there's stories about, like, Davy Boy in the shower and all that crazy shit.
What?
That's just one of the...
shower?
That's one of the stories.
What are
I
you
don't know.
talking about in the shower?
I don't know. That's one of the stories that went around.
Well, all right, I gave you the Sean thing. I'm not giving you anything else.
Nothing with Raven?
Raven?
I don't know. There's rumors with Raven and ECW.
That dirty bastard? I won't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
All right. Maybe that's Raven doing
No, I like Scotty,
self-propaganda.
but ooh, no.
Okay.
He has this thing that he wants to sleep with every girl that's ever been in the business, but so maybe that's, I don't know.
That's probably where that came from.
No, oh God, no. But no, you know what? I'll tell you. I'll give you this much. I've already started writing a book,
Right.
but I don't want to give everything away right now that's going in my book.
Right.
But there has been, yeah. But read the book, you'll find out.
Okay.
You got the good one. You
Exactly.
got the juicy one.
There you go.
Come on.
How surprised are you at the rise of political power of Triple H?
Surprised? Not at all. When I met, he started the same day Chris and I did. We didn't even start yet. We had just signed, and it was WrestleMania. What was it? The one in Hartford where they had Pam and Jenny McCarthy there.
Right. I'm not good with the WrestleMania numbers.
It was, yeah, me either. I've never been.
Right.
But it was that one where Pam Anderson was there and Jenny was there, and one of them walked out with Kevin, one of them walked out with Sean. That show.
Right.
But they invited us because we had all just signed this to come by the show. So we're all just hanging out. There was a fan fest. We're walking around the fan fest, the three of us. It was really cool. See, we knew some people. just from being around in the business. But Hunter, Paul Levesque, whatever you want to call him, he didn't know anybody. So he was following me and Chris around like a puppy dog. And we were like, why is this guy following us around like this? We don't even know him. And then we're like, well, he probably doesn't know anybody, feels awkward, so he's following the new people are standing out there.
Right.
But his attitude, we didn't like him from day one because his attitude was like, oh, I'm going to rule this place one day. I don't care what I have to do. He was such a cocky, arrogant prick. He really was. But he's still trying to be nice to us and trying to follow us around because he didn't know anybody.
Right.
And we were kind of like, we really don't like this guy already. We've only known him for half a day and we don't like him. But he was, I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to run this. But that's from day one. So when everything happened, yeah, I mean, his work was good, but yeah, he did get better. Of course, his physique got incredible. But when I found out about the whole Stephanie thing, I wasn't surprised at all. Because I remember that first day when he says, I don't care what I have to do, but I'm going to run this place.
Right.
I'm like, oh, there you go. Marry the boss's daughter, now you can.
Exactly.
You know, so I wasn't surprised at all.
Do you think Vince played you and Sable against each other back in the day?
Hell yeah. I mean, that company thrives on tension and animosity, whether it's real or not. And, you know, back then the stooge sheets were so big that, you know, oh my God, if there's tension with Sonny and Sable, oh my God, what can happen? Of course. I mean, this is it's a business about, you know, competition.
Right.
You know, and opponents and things like that. Of course, there's, you know, of course he wanted that. And, you know, it worked. I mean, she hated me, I hated her. She hated me because of, I think, my spot. I hated her because of who she was. I didn't hate her because of her spot, okay? Because I had a damn good spot. I wasn't threatened by that. I didn't like her because she's not a nice person. And Terry Reynolds and I found this out very early on. We knew she had a daughter. Mariah was like 8 at the time. We knew Mark Merrow wasn't the father. So I said to her, I said, well, where's her dad? She goes, oh, you know, he died in a car accident when she was an infant. I went, oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. She goes, no, the best thing that ever could have happened to me, because if he never would have died, I never would have met Mark. I'm like, wait a minute, she's talking about the guy she was married to and the father of her child, and she's fucking happy he died? I was like, this is not a nice girl. This is not a quality human being.
Right.
And then every other week, she'd come out with something else that would just like cement the fact that she wasn't a nice person. You know, so that was more the reason I didn't like her, because I had a cushy spot. I had all my expenses paid for. I didn't have to pay for a thing. I didn't have to pay for tolls or gas on the road. None of my clothes. Everything was paid for. I had a deal that not even Shawn Michaels had. You know, on top of great salary and great merchandise. I had a really good deal. Her deal wasn't anywhere near mine, so I didn't give a shit about what kind of a program she was in or what kind of angle she was involved in or what kind of merchandise she got, because I had the cushy deal of the girls.
Right.
So I didn't care about that. I didn't like having her in my locker room because she was a fucking cunt. And I don't use the C word, I'm sorry, but I'm going to use it about her.
Were you surprised that she actually went back to the company 2 years after she sued Vince and all that shit?
Well, yeah, because when the whole lawsuit thing came up, and I knew it was bullshit, I mean, there's always going to be some kind of harassment between workers, but for her to say that's an unsafe work environment, all that stuff, I called Vince, because, I mean, over the years, I've always kept in contact with Vince.
Right.
And I called him up, I said, I want to help defend the company. I said, I don't want anything in return. I'm not looking for that. I said, but you know, I don't like the girl. I don't like what she's doing to the company. I said, if you need me to come in and say she's full of shit, she's just trying, you know, she's just a money-hungry whore, I said, I will. He's like, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. I said, anything. I said, you know, you guys helped me out for all those years. I'll help you out in return. Luckily, he didn't need me. But for them to hire her back after that, I was like, whoa. But he had to have seen it as just a money-making opportunity because the whole Playboy thing with Tori and all that stuff. Because that's when it started, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it was just a money-making thing for him. I'm sure he hated to do it, I mean, because of his principles and his arrogance. But he saw dollar signs, so what the fuck? You know, I don't blame him.
What were your initial memories of Vince?
Vince was the best boss I ever had. I've always gone along with Vince. With Vince, you either love him or you hate him. Most people hate him. Very few people love him. I loved him. He treated me like gold. He treated me like a daughter, practically. He took care of me. I liked him from day one. He you know, the funny thing was, he's a very intimidating person. I was never intimidated by him. Nobody intimidates me. And the first meeting we had, Christopher's like, how are you not intimidated by him? I said, hon, you know me. Nobody intimidates me.
Right.
Like, we're in the office. Chris is like trying to bury his head under the table. And I was just like, hey, Vinny, how you doing? You know,
right.
I'm like, I don't care. And it's not that I didn't appreciate who he was, because I was raised in this business to respect him and appreciate who he is. And veterans and all that thing. I probably was raised better than most guys in this business, just how I was brought up, because of Cornette and everything. But he never intimidated me, ever. So I think Vince sensed that too, that, oh my God, here's this 22-year-old girl, or was I 21 at the time, 21, 22, and he's like, she's not afraid of me, and she's good. I kind of like her,
right.
You know? He's like, I see dollar signs. So, no, I loved him. Never was intimidated by him. Loved working for him. I'll love working for him again one day.
Are you, actually, we talked a little bit about Brett. Do you think Brett takes the business too serious?
Brett, Brett is complicated. I love Brett. He's always treated me really, really good. There's sometimes he comes out with comments that I don't quite agree with. But, he's been through shit. He's been through hell and back. Look what happened to Owen. And, the company's trying to, it wasn't our fault.
Right.
I don't know. Brett, to each his own. If Brett wants to be bitter about something, that's his prerogative. That's what he can do. Like I said, he's complicated. He's a little quirky at times. But relatively, he is a good person. He really is.
Okay. I guess, how did you handle the transition from being a territorial manager to now a worldwide superstar?
I don't know. I just dove right in, I guess.
Right.
I didn't see it as a transition. I was just like, okay, it's just another angle for me.
Cornette pretty much helped you get into the company, right, from Smokey?
No, it's not that Cornette helped me get in. Cornette actually was a little upset when they called me. Because
Right.
I was on Smoky Mountain TV doing everything. I was on every segment of his show. I was like the main focus of the Smoky Mountain TV. I was involved in so much stuff. And then out of the blue one day, Bruce Pritchard called. And I knew who Bruce was, but I never met the guy. He called me one day. He's like, "I'd like you to come up for an audition." I'm like, "An audition for what? What are you talking about?" Phone. I can wait.
All right.
I was like, "An audition for what?" He goes, "Well, we're thinking of putting you as a broadcaster." I'm like, "Wait a minute. I'm a manager. I work ringside. I'm not a broadcaster. I don't know what you're talking about. Broadcast what?" He goes, "Just come up." So I told Cornette, I said, "I got a call from Bruce Pritchard today." He's like, "You did what?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "For what?" And I was like, well, "I don't know. They want me to go for an audition." He goes, "Those motherfuckers, they're going to ruin my fucking plans." He was pissed. So it's not like he had a lot to do with it because he didn't know them when they called me. I don't
Right.
even know how they got my number in Knoxville, my apartment number. As soon as I told him I had an audition coming up, Cornette started writing me out of the TVs because he knew if
Right.
she's going to go for an audition, they're going to hire her.
Right.
That he just knew because they called me out of the blue. So he started writing me out of the things. I went up for my audition. I went on December 7th, 2 weeks after Bruce called me. December 7th, my birthday, 1993. And I go up, and they have me standing in the studio in front of a camera and a backdrop, and they want me to read from a teleprompter. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I said, I'm a manager at ringside. I get in a catfight if I have to. I throw objects in.
Right.
I do interviews, but what am I doing here? Like, just do it. You'll be okay. And it was basically just like a newscaster. I had to read from the teleprompter. I fucked up left and right. I'm like, "I'm sorry, you just don't understand. I don't know what I'm doing." They're like, "Don't worry about it. Just do your best." I fucked up so bad. It was on my birthday. I get to the hotel that night. I'm supposed to fly home that morning. I call home. I'm like, "Honey, it's the worst birthday I've ever had. I fucked up so bad. I did the whole thing wrong. I'm never going to get a job."
Right.
He's like, "Just come home." It was on my birthday of all things. I was like, "Can my birthday suck anymore?" So I came back to Knoxville, and I'm like, "Jim, you got to start writing me back into
Right.
TV because I bombed." He goes, "What do you mean you bombed?" And I told him. He goes, "What? Why the fuck they have you do that? You're a fucking manager. You're the best girl manager there ever been. They have you reading from a fucking teleprompter." You know how Jim is.
Right, exactly.
I was like, "I don't know why, Jim. I don't know." I was scared. I had no idea what I was doing. He goes, "Motherfuck those. They never know how to do anything fucking right." And he went off. Of course, he went off on his 30-minute tantrum because I fucked up an audition that I should never have had.
Right.
So I was like, "All right, I'm just going to get out of my mind. It sucked. That's it. I'm just going to stay in Smoky Mountain." 2 weeks later, it was then a week after that, I broke my arm. I broke my hand. I took a bad bump off the ring. Stupid me puts my hand back, crunched up all my fingers. I had fingers pointing every direction. I had a cast on. About a week after I broke my hand, I get a phone call from Bruce again. He goes, "We need you up here in 2 days." I was like, "What? For what?" He goes, "Yeah, we're going to start you on TV." I said, "Really? Who am I managing?" Like, "No, you're not managing anybody. You're going to be a broadcaster." I'm like, "But I sucked. Why do you want me to do that?" Like, just trust me. He's like, "I want you to wear business clothes. You're going to stand at a podium. You're just going to do the same thing you did at the audition." I'm like, "You're going to have me fuck up again on TV now after I was doing that?" He goes,
Right.
No. He's like, "Don't worry. We'll be fine." I'm like, "Well, I think I got to tell you something." I said, "I have got a cast on my hand now." He goes, "What?" I said, "Yeah, it's all the way up to my elbow. I didn't have it for the audition, but I just broke my hand. I got a full cast." I said, "It's going to be hard to get dressed." He goes, "Tell you what." He goes, "Go shopping, save all the receipts. We'll cut the sleeves of all your business clothes so you can get your arms into suits." He goes, "And we'll hide it behind the podium." All right. So I go up there. It's the live event news. Vince comes in before I start taping anything. He tells me, he goes, "I'm giving you a new name." I said, "Okay, what are you going to name me?" He goes, "Well, I really like your first name, Tamara, my real name."
Right.
I said, "Okay." He goes, "And I don't like your last name." I said, "Which one, the working one or the real one?" He goes, "Neither." I said, "Okay." He goes, "I want to make you Irish. You're going to be Tamara Murphy, like Murphy Brown, because she was a journalist, a
Right.
broadcaster." And I was like, "Okay, I like that. Tamara Murphy sounds cool." I said, "But I really don't know what I'm doing here still." He goes, "Oh, don't worry, you'll be fine." So I'm standing there at the podium, and they're running. Basically, it was the same thing like, this Saturday in the Meadowlands, we have the British Bulldog taking on Jim the Anvil Neidhart for 2 minutes.
Right.
I was like, wait a minute. this sucks. And then Vince would be in there trying to correct my accent, because not only did I have a New Jersey accent, but now I had a Knoxville accent from being there for 3 years. I picked up a lot of y'alls and
Right.
you know, fixing twos, and then I have my New Jersey accent. So the funniest thing, I remember him trying to correct me. He would sit there. He was my speech therapist. We're sitting there, and he's like, I would say Madison Square Garden. He's like, what is it? I said, Madison Square Garden. He goes, no, it's Madison Square Garden. I said, all right, Madison Square Garden. He's like, no, it's not garden, it's garden. I was like, oh, Jesus. So basically, Vince was there for like almost everything up front. If I'd be doing my thing and I would say one thing with a New Jersey or Knoxville accent, he'd cut and he'd teach me how to say it his way.
Wow.
And I would have to repeat it, garden, 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 garden for Vince.
Right.
Until he finally heard it the right way and he's like, okay, now do it. It's like, oh my God, I want to shoot myself. This is ridiculous. But I was still working in Tennessee, so I had my salary from Tennessee. Basically, I was up in Stanford Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays making $500 a day. So I was 21 years old, making $500 a day, $1,500 a week from WWF, going home to Tennessee on a Thursday and working for Cornette for $400 a week. So I was making $1,900 a week as a 21-year-old. I was like, whoa, this is fucking cool.
Oh, yeah.
This is great. So, but I was still in school. So I had all my classes on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I would bring my homework on the road. Then fly up to Stanford Monday morning, work till Wednesday, fly back down Thursday, and I did this for 6 months. 6 months. Finally, they pulled me into the office and said, okay, we're going to take you out of broadcasting. I'm like, thank God. Like, we're going to put you on the road as a manager. I'm like, you know, I was like, you know, praising him. I'm like, thanks. I'm like, what made you think of that? He goes, oh, no, that was always our plan, but we needed to get you in some way.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. Could have told me that instead of making me so nervous with this whole thing. But then, you know, then they had the meeting with me and Chris about bringing us both in, and then, you know,
History.
the rest is history.
Some names I'm just going to throw at you. Smoking Guns, we already kind of talked about. Anything else on Bart?
Bart, he's a really nice guy. I really liked working with both of them together. We had some fun on the road together. Like, there were times when Bart Gunn would give me his, like, strip club VIP card because if he brought it home and his wife found it, he would kill him, so I had to hold it for him. There was a time we were in, like, Canada. We were in this... Did I ever tell you about the bus story in Canada?
I don't think so.
I mean, not the bus, the van.
Is that with the firecrackers and stuff?
Firecracker
Yes.
story?
Yep.
It's probably on the last
It is.
shoot. Okay.
It's an awesome one.
But yeah, me and Bart and Billy are sitting in the back reading porn while everybody else is like shooting fireworks.
Right.
It was hysterical. So yeah, so Billy and I and Bart always got along really well.
What about Louis Spicoli?
Oh, great person. Not only just a great person, a good friend. He wasn't just like a friend in the business, he was a friend.
Right.
You know, he's a good-hearted person.
He was cool.
We never should have lost him.
Mick Foley?
Oh, I love Mick. Mick came to the funeral. He even brought baby Huey to the funeral.
Right.
Mick's always been a great guy. We've always gotten along with him from day one we met him in Smoky Mountain. It's been like 15 years already. And actually, he's already agreed he's going to write the foreword to my book.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So if I have Mick writing the foreword, then it's doing pretty good.
Tom Pritchard?
Tom is one of those guys that if he's your friend, he's your true friend. Doesn't matter. And he and Chris were so close and so tight. And Tom finally, Chris always knew, he's like, Tom is one of my best friends. He's like a brother to me. And Tom always knew they were close friends, but the way that Tom, he even said to Chrissy, this is how I know you're one of my truest best friends. When Tom lost his job, everybody stopped calling him, except for Chris. And when he had his job, people were calling him like crazy. He was like, wow, I have all these friends. I'm really popular. As soon as he lost his job, the phone call stopped. The only person that kept calling him was Chris because he was a friend.
Right.
And Tom even said to him one day, he goes, Chris, I gotta tell you, you are like the truest friend I've ever had because I lost my job and you don't care, you still call me. He's like, Tom, I never talked to you because of your job. He goes, I really didn't. I talked to you because I like you. You're my friend. So Tom's awesome.
I guess, are you surprised the way WWE today is like transitioning divas off the street to be wrestlers and personalities and
Oh, it's
stuff?
fucking stupid. It's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, I can understand if they need a lot of pretty girls and there really isn't a big pool to pick from on the indie scene because it's really not.
Right.
I get along with almost every girl in the indie scene, but I have to be honest with you. There's not a big pool of good-looking, talented girls. There's not.
Who are some of the girls that you like working with on the indie scene?
Who do I like working with?
Yeah, I mean, who do you like working with today on the indie scene?
Oh, excuse me, I'm burping like crazy. Well, a good friend of mine is Janelle, Alaire Littlefeather.
Right.
We're good friends. I like her work. She's a cute girl, but we need to step it up a notch for that diva look.
Right.
You know what I mean? She can do it. She's got the base. April Heinzer and I get along really well. I mean, a lot of the girls, they're so young and they're just so naive and everything. It's hard for me to connect with them. I say hello to all of them. I respect all of them in the locker room, but as far as a lot of people's work go, just ain't gonna cut it.
Right.
It's not their work and their look. It's just not gonna cut it. I mean, they're probably not gonna get past where they are. You know.
Was there anyone you ever refused to work with, and why?
Girls?
Girls, guys.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, usually, I mean, because Chris and I were the type of people that you told us what to do and we did it. You know, no questions asked. If we didn't like it, we might have said, hey, we're not crazy about this, but we'll do it. But we still did it.
Do you have any advice that you want to give out to young girls looking to get into the business?
Don't do it.
All right.
I never should have quit school. See, I was a pre-med student in Tennessee when I was working in Smoky Mountain. I quit school a semester before I got my bachelor's degree because Vince hired me. So I had 1 semester to go to get my bachelor's, go to med school, be an orthopedic surgeon. There is a brain up here, guys. Seriously. Not much of one anymore, getting with all the bumps and craziness in my life. But no, I mean, I should have just continued school. I'd be a doctor right now. But you know, life is strange. I mean, I quit that. That would be my career. Because I wanted to be on TV for Vince McMahon, you know what I mean? So things happen, but I mean, honestly, I would tell people just go to school, have a normal career. If you want to do this on the side, fine, but don't make it your main priority because it's so hard to make it. I got lucky. Most people don't get lucky.
Are you still on good terms with Vince?
You know what? I really do talk to him like twice a year.
All right.
It's not like an everyday thing, but usually every 6 months or so, I feel the urge and I pick up the phone. I call him at home on a Sunday just to say hi. I've done that a lot of times. And I would say, hi, Vince, it's Tamara. I don't say Tammy. I don't say Sonny. I say Tamara because that's the name he likes. He's like, Tamara, how are you today? I'm like, I'm sorry to bother you. He goes, no, never bother with you. And he's always said to me, he goes, you know, when you're ready to come back, give me a call, talk to me. We'll work things out. Because I didn't leave there on bad terms.
Right.
I never did. But, yeah, so, like I said, I always got along with Vince.
You think you'll go back there one day?
Do I think? Yeah, absolutely. I got a lot of work ahead of me, but I'm not questioning my talent one bit. I'm not questioning what I can do there. I mean, because I was the first one that did anything right there. But I got some work to do. I'm not going to deny it. I got some work to do, but it'll get done.
What do you think of the girls there now?
It's one of the reasons I can't even watch the show anymore. It's pitiful. I mean, there's a few people, like, I love Trish. I think she's talented as hell. She's gorgeous, okay? I really do. I respect every little thing she does. Stacy and Tori, I worked with in WCW, so I know them as humans. I never met Trish, first of all.
Right.
Stacy and Tori are two of the sweetest girls I've ever met in my life, and they're gorgeous. But they don't know their ass from their toe. I mean, as far as wrestling goes, they don't know. You know, and that's one of the things that bothers me because I hate when they hire just pretty girls and they don't know anything. Because I mean, if you're gonna know something, a perfect example, the Diva Search with Kamala.
Right.
Not one girl knew who he was. How can you not know who Kamala is? Okay, put in fucking Ron Bass. They won't know him.
Right.
But Kamala? For fuck's sake.
That was one of the things Chris was talking about.
Turn wrestling on just once in your life, you'll know Kamala.
He says that you knew everything. If you guys were walking down the street and there was like a number on an apartment, you would relate that to like somebody's weight in the hometown.
Well, the funniest thing...
Something happened on Twitter.
Yeah, you know, it was, we were walking past something and it said 333. I went, ooh. 333, El Paso, Texas, Blackjack Mulligan or something like that. I don't remember what it was. And he was like, honey, he's like, I'm very impressed. I'm like, duh, I know this kind of stuff. So then we would have games in the car like, okay, who is, 300 or whatever pounds from Waxahachie, Texas? Dick Murdoch. Right. You know what I mean? We would just play like that. Because I knew this stuff. Like, who was the champion in 1906? Oh, George Hackenschmidt. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And he was like, good girl. I knew this. And he was half the time, I mean, we would sit there and talk about history of wrestling and stuff, but half the time I would just read stuff and learn on my own, and he didn't even know the stuff that I was learning. You know, I'm like, there were times when we played the wrestling name game in the car, and I've already beaten Tom Pritchard, and he's never been beaten.
Right.
I was the first person to ever beat Tom. Ever. And I got really close to beating Jim Cornette.
That's
but
awesome.
I couldn't, nobody can beat Cornette.
Right.
But I did beat Tom once. Proud of that.
What do you miss the most and the least about being on full time?
The traveling. That's what I miss the most. I love the traveling. Most people are in the business and they hate the traveling. They say that's the worst. That's the best part. I mean, I love to go to different places. I'm happiest when I'm on a different planet every day, a different hotel every day, different country every other week. I love that. Seriously, if I'm never home and I'm just on the road, I'm in my glory.
Right.
I'm fucking happy. I'm serious. The thing I miss the least... the bullshit, I guess, that goes on in a locker room between people. It's like you're in high school again, a lot.
Right.
It really is.
It's all drama.
It's too much drama. I'm there to do a job. I'm there to have fun. You know, I'm there to make my money. I'm not there for the tension and the drama and the bullshit and the crap like that. It's really ridiculous. I'm not talking about ribs. I'm a big supporter of ribs. I mean, you can't get through a tour without good ribs.
Right.
You have to.
Any stick out?
Huh?
Any stick out?
Something Owen used to do to Dave. No, I'm sorry, Davey used to do to Owen. Owen was one of the cheapest people in the world on the road. Cheap, cheap, cheap. And we were in Germany, and we'd go down to the Continental Breakfast, and there'd be the orange juice cartons, and Owen's like, well, I'm going to take the orange juice for the whole day.
Right.
And he would put 2 cartons of orange juice in his bag, in his carry-on bag. And we get to the airport, and Davey's like saying to the people, like, oh, ma'am, you can't let him bring that bag on the plane, it's too big, And Owen's like, my orange juice is in there, shut up, and I bring it on every day. And Davey's like, no, ma'am, you have to make him check that. That's too big, that's not going to fit. And they would believe Davey and make Owen check his bags.
That's awesome.
So, of course, they come down to the baggage belt leaking orange juice because they just got crushed, and all his gear is, like,
Right.
totally saturated in
Right.
orange juice. And by then it was sour and smelly. I mean, you have to do this stuff on the road. You have to torment each other, or you go stir crazy.
Right.
You have to. Like I said, I'm a big supporter of ribs. I mean, any ribs that people have played on me, I never got upset. I would laugh with them. I'm like, thank God somebody wanted to rib me. You know what I mean? And I'd pull ribs too. I mean, you gotta padlock people's bags to, water pipes, and you have to.
Right.
You have to do it. You gotta get your aggressions out.
What was your favorite moment so far in your career?
Oh God. I don't know. There's been so many. I don't know if I can think of one favorite thing. I really don't. Probably my favorite times were in WWF, because that was just so amazing for me. But honestly, there wasn't one particular time. I mean, one of the most fun things I ever did was getting slopped.
Right.
I mean, most people were like, oh, she probably hated it. I loved it. When they told me I was going to get slopped, I'm like, ooh, cool. How can I sell it? How can I do it? It's going to be so much fun.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because people are like, you want the slop? I'm like, yeah, I want to work with it. I want to make it good.
Right.
That was a fucking blast. Every night for 3 months on the road, I had to get slopped. It was so much fun. Probably my first magazine cover was pretty damn cool. Not my first any magazine cover, but like the first WWF one. I was like, whoa.
Right.
I think I finally got here.
You made it.
But
Did you ever manage anyone who never let you get your heat?
yes, one person who hated working with me, and I tried to make him look like 1,000,000% because he did need help.
Right.
Henry Godwin. We would go out there. I mean, the Godwins are pretty over as baby faces. I was a heel when I was with them. I go out there, and I'm getting cheered, and people are chanting my name, even though I'm a heel, and ignoring them. And he would come back from the ring, throw his bucket, curse everybody, because he could not stand the fact that I got over better than he did out there. And I was a heel, and I'm getting a bigger baby face pop than the baby faces.
Right.
He hated that. He couldn't stand it. So we didn't have a very good working relationship. But like if we weren't working together, he was a nice guy. When we're working together, he just hated me.
We did a shoot with Percy Pringle, and he says at times you guys really never got along.
We didn't. And I really don't even know what started that. He was just always a bitter, bitter man to me.
Right.
He really was. And maybe he doesn't like girls in the business. Maybe he didn't like me. Maybe whatever.
Right.
I really don't. Maybe he thought I didn't deserve it.
He said that at the time, we just did the interview with him last week, he thinks that you guys were just young in the business, and maybe you guys were just young and immature at the time.
Well, see, the thing is, yeah, we were very young.
Right.
But with our experience level,
Right.
we weren't young. At 22, 23 years old, we had a lot more knowledge and experience than some guys that are 35 in this business, okay? Maybe he didn't know that. Maybe he didn't know that we were raised by Cornette, so we did respect the business, and we were raised correctly in the business, and we did have a lot more knowledge for a 22-year-old. I mean, maybe he just didn't know where we were coming from, and what we came from, and what we knew, and, that we did respect everyone. And, I mean, even though I knew he didn't like me from day one, I still said hello and shook his hand every day.
Right.
And so I really don't know what his thing was, and of course he was such a bitter man towards me, that made me not like him. His phone's driving me nuts.
Did you get along with Taker?
Oh yeah, Mark, yeah.
All right, cool.
No problem.
Are you shocked that Bret Hart went back to WWE recently and they did the DVD and now he's going to be in the Hall of Fame?
This is the first I'm hearing of it. I mean, I know he did the DVD.
Right.
I didn't even hear about the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame now too. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So I told you I don't follow this stuff anymore. It sucks too much to watch. No, I'm not surprised. I knew it would happen. I mean, look at the impact Bret made in that company for all those years. How can they not?
Exactly.
How can they not? You can't erase that from history.
Right.
So I'm not surprised.
ECW just announced they're doing another pay-per-view, One Night Stand. Do you think you'll be part of it? It's going to be probably in June, I think, in the same place, Hammerstein.
I don't know. I'm not worried about it. At this point, I wouldn't even want to.
Right.
I really wouldn't. My focus is elsewhere right now.
What is your focus right now?
Just started writing the book. Well, it's very in the beginning stages, but it's a good one.
Right.
I've written my outline. To see this outline, oh my god, it's just it's gonna be a good one. It's not gonna be like a Missy Hyatt book, I'll tell you that right now. I'd like to by the end of the year. I would like to go back by the end of the year.
No plans to ever go to TNA?
No.
Right.
Just because how that office
Right.
handled everything, I guess. I never say never. I never say never. But if I was to choose, of course I'd want to go back and be Sunny again. That couldn't be Sunny down TNA.
Right.
I'd want to go back and do the same things I did as Sunny and be Sunny again, do that whole thing. Yeah, but so my focus is getting this book done. Hopefully by the end of the year going back. Get my ass in gear and back in Sunny shape, like I said before.
Right.
Which is very doable, especially now, you know, medication I need and busting my ass in the gym. Mentally, I'm happy because I have this boyfriend that just unbelievable, totally in love with him. So mentally, I'm in a really good place. So yeah, by the end of the year, I think it's very feasible. And I hope I do go back because then imagine how much bigger the book's going to be then.
Exactly.
An independent book or a WWE published book, I mean, come
Right.
on. You know, of course, there's probably a few things I can't put in the book if it is WWE published, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Is there anything you want to say to your fans that you haven't had, a chance to say in the last 4 years from our last interview? I mean, you've been through a lot, and you're still here, which is a good thing.
Been through hell and back. Hey, that's a good title.
There you go. There you go.
Let's call it Sunny to Hell and Back.
Wow.
I've been to Hell and Back. Oh my God, that's a good title. I don't know. I don't know. I just want to, I don't know. I'll let everybody know everything, everything's cool. A lot of people have been worried about me. Don't worry about me. Everything's good. I'm in a good place. So.
RF video offices.
Huh?
You're in the RF video offices.
I'm in a great place right
Exactly.
now. No, I'm in a good place. So, yeah, don't worry about me. Everything's good. I'm not suicidal. Never have been. Got my, my shit back together. Got my shit back on track. So it'll be a matter of time before you see me again.
It was really good being here today, and, thank you very much for this incredible interview.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Stay cool.